Good evening and good day. Let me pull up the YouTube studio, make sure that I can actually hear me and that you guys can actually hear me. Uh, got a little bit of a late start today getting the equipment all configured. The microphone is back, got a different camera, and it's going to be fun. We're going to make this work. Still have a ton of articles in the phone, but we're not worried about that right now because we've got plenty of them in the notebook, and I will try to pull some out if we get somebody on to co-host with me today. And let's see here. The audio's a little quiet. What do you guys think? Can we lower this a bit? Uh, check, check, check. It's in the same setting it was before we uprooted it, so that's what we're dealing with there. All right, let me get this back so I don't have two sets of feedback audio. And let's go back to the stream, see who all's in here this morning. Let's open up chat. All right, so good afternoon, good evening, and good day to those of you on the West Coast. Good morning. And let's start with a little bit of SpaceX, just because that's what's on the screen right now. And at some point, I'll figure out the colors on this thing because I'm looking both pale and dark at the same time. Let's see here. But it won't be today because we got a show to do and I don't have time to mess with the colors. Let's share a screen. So let's break out this SpaceX to its own window so we can put stuff in there later. And there we go. Share screen. Go with a little Blogger Reacts view because that's what I like. All right, so the FCC has authorized SpaceX to begin deploying 7,500 next-gen Starlink satellites. This one came to us from, I believe, Dan. It could have been Omar, but I didn't read the article yet. So let's do it together. I'm presuming this is the V2s that Elon's been talking about, Elon and Gwen. Let's see. FCC authorization to Elon Musk SpaceX, granting approval to launch 7,500 of its next-gen satellites. Yep, Gen 2 Starlink. Let's see what CNBC has to say about it, and then we'll expound upon it ourselves because we probably know more than they do. Let's see. FCC Communications Commission issued a key authorization to Musk on Thursday. Okay. Our action will allow SpaceX to begin deployment of Gen 2 Starlink, which is very important because Gen 2 is going to give us the stuff that they promised with Gen 1. And with that, there's also something else that's pretty cool. Doesn't really affect us as consumers, but we'll get to that in a moment. But it also means that they may be getting a little closer to doing the Starship launches because we just saw an 11 engine static fire and they're swapping out boosters and getting stuff ready to go there. And we know that the pure V2 requires that they use Starship. So if they're not going to do like the V2 half size on Falcon 9, then this is going to be required. Just because the V2 doesn't fit in the fairing on a Falcon 9, or at least not enough of them to be worth launching. All right, so the 30,000 is the full constellation, and they've got several thousand up there now. I'd have to look and see how many, but 7,500 is the next shell. SpaceX is also required to coordinate with other satellite operators as well as NASA, the NSF, and protect science missions and radio astronomy, respectively. I'm not seeing anything about environmental review. That was something that was coming up, unless that's congressional action that's coming up. They want to oversee these things, and the main complaint is the astronomers saying, "Oh, the trains of light, blah blah blah." I'm not saying it's nothing, but what I am saying is that some of the more experienced astronomers, not necessarily the ones with the biggest budgets, they're saying that they can block all this out with software. So I'm not saying just go out there and make beacons of light. Don't put floodlights or lasers coming on them, coming back down facing the Earth. But it's transitory. It's a couple weeks, and they've made efforts to work with the science community to reduce the light pollution. So to act as if they're not doing anything is disingenuous. However, I do understand if you don't want to use your software, or if your software can't cope with the amount of launches, then perhaps they might need to make some more concessions. But it seems that they are willing to work with the community, and so to keep stabbing them in the back seems a good way to get them to stop working with you and only do the bare legal minimums. Just saying. And we've seen that Musk can get kind of petty when he's getting stabbed in the back. So good luck. All right, there's a number. So far they've had 3,500 up right now. Not bad. Let's see. Nobody in chat yet. Let's see a couple of you viewing. That's important. And let's find the next article. Is it going to be in the web or is it going to be in the notebook? Bear with me one moment. And no, I haven't buried the lead, but I know about the Tesla Semi, and we're going to talk about that one too. Let's close these tabs here. Not downloading software. Got a bunch of tabs open for no good reason. Sorry, guys. Oh, wow. Somebody marked the first 22 minutes of the Tesla Semi presentation as intermission, which is inaccurate because it's not like Tesla didn't cut off the Elon being late time as they usually do. I do want to get to that one, so I want to see if that keep it open. Let's go to the notebook. All right, so I can just click these now because I have the thing back. Click, 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 click. All right, that's one, that's two, that's three. That's another one of the same thing. So let's go over here to SF Gate. Now, before the Tesla Semi launch, our friends at Freightliner decided to launch their vehicle ahead of time because I think it's got a 200-mile range at the max pack. So you don't want to be following something that's more capable and more splashy. It's marketing 101. So get out in front, especially when it's not your bread and butter. This is your first try. You're gonna do more later. Blah blah blah. Um, versus coming out afterwards with a get this over here. It's not quite as capable. Blah blah blah, and nobody looks at it. Versus you get a little bit of news reporting up front, but that's not what this is here. This is actually that's the lead in to show that what California is doing is the same thing they did when the EV1 and the original RAV4 EV and the Honda thing and the Nissan thing, when they were all out, and CARB said, "Hey," the California Air Resources Board said, "Hey, these electric car things are going to work. They have a 50-mile range today on lead acid batteries. New technology's coming. They're viable. All right, we want this many low emission vehicles by X date," and then. And then GM and Toyota and everybody got mad. You're making us do this thing, and they fought it tooth and nail legally, as well as making the products not as robust as they could be, either too expensive or short range, or in other ways of just crumminess, so that way people would not be into them. I don't think that they have that kind of pull this time around on carb to try and do that. So now that the electric semis are a thing, CARB is looking to, I think it's CARB, but it says California, is looking to now start putting squeeze on the combustion semis, which if they don't go too aggressively is fine. If they go too aggressively, then there's only one truck that can do it right now, and it doesn't have a sleeper cab, so it can't do um, long haul team driving, but it can do long distance at 500 miles of charge and 70% in 30 minutes, which is substantial. I think I've got an article with the Freightliner. We'll get to that if I do later. But let's look at this. So It's a controversial new band because anything new is controversial. I think it's the band part that really gets them going though this time. And not a suggestion. It's like, hey, we're done. All right, so they're going to force all diesel trucks off the road with varying timelines, mandating that all new trucks operating around busy railways and ports be zero emission by 2024. And the reasoning for this is when you look at disadvantaged communities, uh, like childhood asthma, disadvantaged folks as far as income, they are tending to be closer to these areas where there are a lot of trucks running around at the ports, at the railways, and these are the kind of trucks that are already ready today from Freightliner, from Tesla, from everyone who makes an electric truck. Uh, you're not going to be, if you somehow run a charge, you're not going to be hundreds of miles from the depot. They're going to be depoted every night, and they're ready to go. And they do a lot of the damage because they just sit there all day idling and moving containers around and other loads like that. So next up, they're going to phase out diesel trucks from those areas by 2035. Da, 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 da. What areas? Oh, okay, I see. I see. So 2024, all the new ones have to be electric and or zero emission. They can be hydrogen. It's fine. They can be hydrogen. They can be compressed air. It doesn't matter. Just as long as they're not putting out any local emissions. Then you've got by 2035 they must all be like even the existing fleet has to now be rotated to zero emissions. And then every diesel truck and bus in the fleet of California roads by 2045, which it sounds aggressive, but it's really not. Remember, 2035 is their target for all new car sales. Um, and when you look at these commercial trucks, they don't necessarily have the same lifespan as some folks keep their passenger cars. They do a lot more miles, and Elon said it well. Elon or the semi engineer, he said that 1% of the vehicles are doing 20% of the emissions in North America, and so this is what we would call low hanging fruit. Uh, they still have value when they're done. They can ship them to places that don't have a ban, and there's also the ability at this point to rebuild them as EVs. I don't know that that is as cost effective as replacing them with EVs, like purpose built EVs, but we'll see how that goes. Let's see here. Here we go. Yeah, many neighborhoods, especially black, brown, low income, and vulnerable communities, live, work, and play, and attend schools adjacent to the ports, rail yards, and distribution centers and freight corridors, and experience the heaviest truck traffic, wrote the board. Adding to this pollution causes health risks to those communities. Exactly. Exactly. Let's see. Then there are people claiming the infrastructure can't be established in the time frame given, which is bogus because you've got stuff like the Tesla Megapack that you can just drop in on the existing connections, trickle charge it, and then fast charge your trucks from there. And then in fact, these type of trucks again that we're talking about in the beginning, they don't need to be fast charged. They can be charged overnight at the depot unless you're talking like a 24-hour operation, like say an airport or say the port of Los. Is there a port of Los Angeles? I believe so. Either way, the ports of California, there are a lot of them, and then you can do shifts, or if you've got the money and the budget, you can do fast charging on them and then just keep them rolling. What's going on, Timothy? Good to see you. And let's see. They're claiming this will do damage to us because we have to spend some money to do the right thing. Oh my goodness. Oh, woe is me. Just do the right thing. Especially when you look at maintenance costs and fuel costs. For instance, Tesla is claiming a $70,000 reduction in fuel bill in the first year on their truck. You can do a lot with 70,000 extra dollars. Add that up over 3 years, and all of your complaints about infrastructure don't even matter at this point. Anyway, let's move on before I get upset with these people. It's the constant lying, or talking off the hip without knowing the data. That's also a possibility. So, Tesla Model 3 refresh, codenamed Project Highland, has been under development for nearly a year. It's been off and on, people have talked about it. But recently on Twitter, we saw photos of a Model 3 with a front and rear bra, but not just a bra, but like a disguise. Let's see if we can't find it here on Drive Tesla. Otherwise, we'll go to the Twitter. It was recent, so I kind of thought it'd be on the top. Oh, that's cool. Let's read into that later. SpaceX postponed the data cap. Hopefully, they come back with a little more sensible one. And then here's the one I hinted at about SpaceX. We'll talk about that in a minute. Some of these are in the notes, some of them are on the phone, but now they're here. That later as well. But what I'm looking for is that island. Come on. I'm hearing electronic noises, and I wonder if that's the backup server coming through my headphones. Looks like we're going to go to Twitter. All right, let's go to Twitter. I'm going to put up a new tab because I got a lot on my Twitter. All right, so it was a tweet that I did in response to the pictures. So I got tweets and replies. Problem is I tweet and reply a lot, so who knows what I've done. Message. Oh, whoops. Yeah, I'll get that. It's us. We're live on Twitter. In way better quality than the Tesla Semi unveiling. That thing was blurry. So there's Robert William. I hope you get some way to get some more heat in that house. He's sitting at 0 Fahrenheit. Wait, no, not 0 Fahrenheit. Sorry, 0 centigrade, 32 Fahrenheit. So it's frozen in his house. Somebody was claiming that the Cybertruck couldn't have solar on the vault without it being flexible, but that's not exactly accurate because you can make the panels into strips. And let's see. A lot of people talking about NEX. I like NEX. It's the used to be called the Tesla connector. Somebody saying that you can't get a battery replacement, which I did on the Model S and on the Civic Hybrid. Politics, of course. Somebody splitting hairs about CCS and J1772, trying to claim they're the same thing. They're highly related, but they are not the same thing. Here's a picture. A couple people sent me this, including Mark and Patrick at the Tesla Life, and Dan and Jen. Let's take a look at these pictures real quick, and then we'll continue looking for Project Highland. Maybe. What may be Project Highland, I should say. Zachary says hello. Good morning. All right, so it appears that it was done by the AI diffusion, but this is Tesla Semi as an RV. I don't know why they put a split window when the thing has got a center driving position, but the AI doesn't understand things like this sometimes. It's got way too many axles, unless it's just super heavy. And then this little area looked comfortable, so I thought I'd share it. I thought it was cool. All right, so let's go back to get my Twitter off the screen, and I'll continue to look for what I think is possibly Project Highland. There's a video we could look at. Here it is. Okay. Go here. Pause that. share this tab instead. There was a red one spotted driving down the road, but this white one folks found in a parking garage. And there's speculation, like, is it cameras, blah, blah, blah. We'll see what it actually is. Uh, Project Highland, the way I read it, it could just be just a generic refresh where, hey, the Model 3 has been out for 4 years. Let's give it a small facelift like we did with the Model S when we got rid of the nose cone. I think it's probably going to be more than that when you look at the way that Elon considers refreshes and new models. He doesn't seem to see a reason to just kind of facelift it. Now, when they did the new S and X, they kind of brought them in line with the Model 3 and Y. I don't necessarily think that that was anything but like a light massage to bring them in line with the family rather than um, any sort of styling situation. Let's see. Um, so in the rear, they've covered up everything but the reflectors, turn signals, and reverse lights. And then we've got the charge port is just wide open. And then this little flap here, I'm wondering if that's centered, it would be the tow hitch, but it doesn't appear to be centered because here's the license plate, which is through a clear vinyl window. Oh my goodness. Zachary donated $9.99. Thank you very much. Thank you for keeping the show informative. You're positive. Yeah, I appreciate it. I like that I bring a different perspective on there, and I try to just be the authentic me. Except over there, I cuss more than I do here. I try to keep it super family friendly here, and but I try to minimize my cussing in real life as well. I do cuss like a sailor, but I do try to keep it in check. Some folks had wondered here if this section that I'm pointing to was a camera. I could kind of see that they zoomed in and altered the contrast ratios, so it's possible. This part looks the same, but then when we get to the other light, these just look like the regular camouflage, trick you into not being able to see what they're really doing here. Um, this one appears to just be the flap over the tow eye, because remember on the tow eye, it's not just the towing eye, but it's also the jump start location. If for some reason you need to restore 12-volt power, so you can say supercharge the car after you've ran it to zero. The wheels look a little bit different from this angle. Let me go back real quick. They're not. Okay. The covers might be, but the wheels themselves are very much the same right there. All right, so let's go to the last picture right here. And so some folks were suggesting that that this reflection or whatever right here might be a camera that's facing to the side. And this cut doesn't exist on the other one. And then here is another one that folks are saying very clearly appears to be a camera lens. But I don't know. I'm not going to sit there and speculate on it. It would solve, if it's a forward-facing camera, it would solve the blind spot problem that we're talking about with the removal of the ultrasonics, because the triplex camera up here, the triplex, cannot see this area right here. It's just impossible. I mean, they could change the lenses or move them around or something to that effect, but it would be far more effective without redoing the design to just drop a camera somewhere else that already has a network connection. So the headlights are CAN bus. So that would be a really good spot to do it. And that I could see why people think that this could be a camera. It could be a button, like literally like a snap button so that you can take these covers off the lights when you're in the design center or something. This area right here, that's a little more hard to just hand wave away. It could be a reflection from the roof, or it could be a cutout for a side-facing camera. Who knows? We will find out more as it comes to be, but let's not, as we keep telling you, don't hold off your purchases for Tesla for what might be what's coming next, because yeah, that thing might be next, but it might not be implemented the way you like, or they may remove something you do like in the meantime, like lumbar support. There's also right now Tesla is. Oh wait a minute! Look at this. That is not a Tesla, and it is also under camouflage. Got a tonneau cover, or not a tonneau cover, a bed topper, like a cab topper, and the camouflage stuff. Weird. It's not a Tesla. Was there some sort of meeting of the manufacturers to do weird stuff? Let's see if we can't see that in the video. We don't see it in any of the other photos. I don't see it in the video. Doesn't mean it's not there, it just means that I don't see it. Interesting. Oh, whoa, where are we now? Anyway, let's go on to something else now that I've thoroughly mixed up the tabs. Actually, before we do that, um, we talked about the yes. So I was talking about how right now Tesla is currently for inventory Model 3 and Model Ys, they're giving away 3750 in discounts, which, as those of you who follow Tesla know, they don't really do discounts all that often. And what this is right now is we don't know what's going to happen with the tax credit for Tesla for next year. Some of the vehicles, like the Model Y, the lower trim Model Ys, not the ones that aren't over 70, 80, they should qualify for some level of tax credit. And depending on what Model 3s are available next year, some of them will qualify again, depending on their pricing. The discount is instant and guaranteed. The tax credit, it'll probably happen, but depending on what your financial situation looks like, you may be like a friend of mine who, when I bought my Model X, he bought a Model 3. He didn't qualify for any of it because of the way his retirement is set up. So that money was just gone. And it counted as a car sale for Tesla. So uh, nobody could use it. It's not even like it just went on to somebody who could use it, which is an unfortunate way that the current program is structured. But anyway, so with that discount, for those of you who aren't trying to stretch it to January, but you'd like a Model 3 or a Model Y, that can get you $3,750 on top of whatever you can already get from buying an inventory unit, buying a test drive unit, because Tesla does do discounts for age and miles on those. And I think for the inventory cars, it's just age because they shouldn't have a lot of miles if they're just sitting on the lot, getting shuffled around from store to store, that sort of thing. So if you were in the market for trying to get one before the end of the year, especially if you need it for like a business purchase, like there it is before the end of the year. That's obviously going to be while supplies last. So now that I mentioned it, if they sell out enough inventory, they will end that program. But again, that's like I keep saying, if there's something you want from Tesla, we, not just me, but on all the shows I'm on, if there's something you want from Tesla and you see it, get it now, assuming that that your budget can handle it. All right, so there was a Tesla semi unveiling slash delivery event on the 1st. So that was Thursday. You can catch us over on What Drives Us. We covered it live, but there were a couple items from it that I wanted to touch on. So there's a clip right here. Tesla semi passing ice trucks like it's nothing. Here we go. Look at that. This is up a 6% grade with at least 44,000 pounds of concrete on the back, concrete and rebar. Look at that. All right, so let's see. I did like this little spotlight on some of the features it has, such as suspension dump, and the hitch pin is on your screen. You can just release the trailer right there. Easy to hook up. You get your light tests. We're going to take a look at the, yep, right there. You can test your lights. without having to have a spotter or somebody to push the pedals for you, that sort of thing. And let's see. They did a 500-mile uh, run. So this blue right here is the battery percentage, and this gray right here is the elevation. Why am I pointing it out? A couple folks in my circles did manage to flip them based on the way the elevation and battery percentage is written. Um, so to save that confusion, I'm calling it out now. So they started at 97% and they finished at 4% when they hit their 500 miles. And then the elevation between uh, Fremont and San Diego is basically a wash. It's a little higher in San Diego than it is in Fremont. Fremont's sitting there right at zero, maybe 8 feet or something like that. And then no, not even 8 feet because here's 10. No, wait, it's battery. Yeah, maybe 8 feet or so. And then over here, maybe up to 200 feet for San Diego. And the high point on the trip, they climbed all the way up, 4136 feet up the Grapevine. And then when they came back down, it wasn't all in one hit. So they have a video, a 2-minute video that is pretty cool. We can see time lapse how it all went down. There was a 30-minute break in there required by law since it was a commercial driver. And you can see that the regen works wonders because as they're coming back down, the battery charge is actually going back up. Well, it's just a little bit, not like it would be if you're going down the other way, because you're still climbing and dropping, climbing and dropping. So our friend Patrick over at carswithcords.net, he had a write-up on that. We'll discuss that later in the show when I get to it in the notes. And so this proves that the 500 miles is real. It was loaded up with 81,000 pounds, and it was not the truck that we saw doing the passing maneuver with the 44,000 pounds of concrete. It was a van trailer, with the doors in the back, you latch them. Like I said, we'll try and get that video up next. In fact, let's just go over to tesla.com/. See if they updated their page. All right, 20 seconds, 0 to 60, less than 2 kilowatt hours per mile energy consumption, which is a lot when you think about it, though, because mine, when I'm driving in moderate weather with no load, is about 300 to 400 watt hours per mile. But this is hauling a lot more, and it's a lot taller and wider, so that makes sense. It also has more range, but it's got a bigger battery. That's for fully loaded at 82,000 pounds of gross combination weight. And for those of you that are familiar with truck limits but not familiar with electrics, you get 2,000 extra pounds in US and Europe over the legal limit just because they are electric. All right, let's take a look. It's a beast. They call it beast now instead of BAMF. Oh, they still say badass performance right there. You got 3 motors now. Like when we looked at this earlier, there were 4 motors. There were Model 3 motors, and now there are 3 plaid motors. One thing we found out during the unveiling, which was pretty cool, is that 2 of the motors are deemed acceleration motors, and they are mechanically clutched out of the system. So if you know long-term Tesla history, you know that last time they tried transmissions, it didn't go so well. They were burning up transmissions in the original Tesla Roadster and ended up just welding the things in second gear before they ended up with a differential solution. And that's been pretty much where they were until this. And so this is completely computer controlled clutch, so you don't have to know when to shift it, how to shift it, all that stuff. You're not pushing a clutch pedal. The computer controls it all. It also means that the computer can bring them back in if you need heavy regen. And at some point, Tesla had indicated that they don't expect you to ever have to do a brake job on this vehicle. All right, so the third motor is the high gear ratio and is intended to cruise down the road with a full load on one motor. All right, so So you can merge safely and keep pace with traffic, accelerate 0 to 60 in 20 seconds, fully loaded, and maintain highway level speeds, even up steep grades. They keep saying 6%. I guess that's the probably the steepest highway truck route you'll find in North America, and that would explain why they keep harping on the 6%. Um, I thought it was pretty cool. Let's see what they have next. So here they've got a view of the command center. It appears that you can adjust which cameras you see and where they appear on the screen, because the guy who was doing the 500-mile run, he had all of his cameras for his blind spots and the main cameras for the left and right left and right mirrors. He had them all on the inside, and they still had truck controls and his map. Underneath here, you've got your just like in your Model 3, you've got Model 3, Model Y, you've got wireless phone charging. You've got your emergency buttons for your air brakes and such. Let's play this thing. Let me get in a little closer. Got your Tesla textile seat, so it's got the vinyl trim and textile under your pants. It's actually a really comfortable seat. I've had a chance to try it a couple times on motor cars and test drives. Elon indicated that this is actually, rather than being Tesla Semi or Tesla Megacharger, it's actually going to be Supercharger V4, and they indicated that the Cybertruck is going to use these as well, which got me excited because there was concern as to what connector this thing is going to use. Was it going to be MCS2, MCS3, or the NACS connector? And I am speculating that it's going to be the NACS connector because when they announced that, Tesla said that the NACS is megawatt without cooling the vehicle side connector, and they dropped the guaranteed charge on the Semi from 80% in 30 minutes down to 70% in 30 minutes, and uncooled NACS is not as performant as the maxed out MCS connector, the MCS3. So my speculation was that since the MCS connection doesn't do any AC charging, it's only DC, and it's more expensive to install DC on the home, and the Cybertruck needs AC charging so you can charge it at home. What connector could they put on both trucks that allows you to charge AC at home and could take over a megawatt or up to a megawatt, whichever you want to look at it, is the NACS. So I'm thinking that this is going to have the regular Tesla port we've seen on every other Tesla in North America since the end of the Roadster, and I think that is phenomenal. We also know it has a 1,000-volt architecture because they told us, and then when they right before they told us that the Cybertruck could use the same chargers, they also told us the Cybertruck would have the same architecture, which suggests a 1,000-volt architecture as well. Could be 800 volts, but why have three different voltages? You have 400, and then 800, and then 1,000. We have 400 and 1,000. All right, so combination trucks account for 18% of U.S. vehicle emissions, and that's coming from their 2021 Climate Impact Report. Semi will help change that. With less than 2 kilowatt hours per mile energy consumption, Semi can travel up to 500 miles on a single charge and recover 70% of range in 30 minutes using Tesla Semi chargers. All right, so here they still call them Semi chargers, but this page wasn't updated much after the demo. This is from the 2017 demo. They point out that charging with electricity is 2.5 times cheaper per mile than refueling with diesel, and operators can see estimated fuel savings of $200,000 within the first 3 years of ownership. With remote diagnostics, over-the-air software updates, and fewer moving parts to maintain, operators will spend less time at service centers and more time on the road. And then they have the original unveiling. I don't know why they don't have the new unveiling, but that's okay. We can solve that. Let's see. Mile range 300 or 500, depending on which one you buy. 0 to 60 in 20 seconds fully loaded, which also means that unloaded is going to be pretty cool. Folks like to point out that it is more aerodynamic than a Bugatti Chiron. And let's see. Here they say speed up a 5% grade, but in all their audible presentations, they say 6%. Get updates. All right, so let's go over to this tab and zoom around through the presentation. Share this tab instead. Let's unmute it. All right, so as usual, Tesla comes out. Actually, let's mute it back. They come out riding in the trucks. Let's turn on closed captioning. All right, so here we go. Nice, cool intro. And then we see it fade into the truck. And one of them drives in. Turns out it's hauling the stage. The stage is just a modified or completely stripped down flatbed trailer. We're not sure which. I'm sure you pro truckers do know which. And let's see. I've got all kinds of music going, so I'm going to leave it off. So this one is one of the Tesla branded ones. So no, this one's not hauling the stage. It just kind of pulls up. Elon's driving it. Somebody's in the jump seat. So this somebody is, I think, the new head of the program. And they both get out. Looks like neither of them's wearing a seatbelt. The jump seat is just a regular seat, but it folds at the hip rather than, and it folds up at the hip rather than a canvas strap like everybody else's jump seat. Okay, so they both get out the one door. Well, maybe it wasn't the engineer. Maybe it was just a driver. That guy looked different than the other guy who was on stage. This is live chat. Replay is turned off. Chat wasn't even on for that video. Okay, so no, here's the stage. So they did not drive the Pepsi truck in. And there they are. So I have closed captioning turned on, but it's not. There it is. All right, so let's zoom around here and find some cool stuff about it. You can unmute it now because the music's done.
So, I think you've had a chance to tour the production line. So, cool.
All right, so that's the production line.
Great. So let's get started. Yeah.
Good evening, Anders.
Yeah. Sorry for the delay.
Yeah, you're always late.
It's been like sheer amount of drama between this.
So this is from 2017.
Working a little bit on the background, close to the chest, right level of priority, but made a lot of progress, incorporated a lot of things that we're.
Why build a semi-truck? Because if you look at the actual unit volume, it's small compared to passenger vehicles. So for passenger vehicles, there's on the order of almost 100 million that are sold every year, and whereas semi-trucks, it's like for 400,000 or 500,000.
Not even, it's a couple 100,000 Class 8 trucks a year.
Globally.
Yeah. Or no, sorry, that's US. Yeah.
So so there's. So in the U.S., there's called it like 15 million passenger vehicles.
And to Elon's point, there's a lot of heavy trucks that are deployed in dense urban areas, and so the communities that are around freeways, trailers, a lot of where these trucks are domiciled, are going to really benefit, particularly from the particulate emissions reductions, and then just.
And this is the same thing in that report we just heard from California, which was after this.
Trying to reduce emissions globally. Every truck that we put on the road that replaces a diesel truck is a huge amount of leverage, and so that is why we're doing this, and makes a huge difference towards driving us towards our total mission of sustainable energy and transport.
So another thing that came up here is this roadmap.
So we're aiming to cover all major forms of transport.
A couple things that we noted about this roadmap is that the Model Next is not on there. Patrick was the first one to point that out while we were on the show. And the Roadster is not on there either, the new Roadster. So it's not to say that they canceled the new Roadster, it's just that it's clearly not a priority, which is fine when you consider their mission and the amount of resources they have to work with.
It's just consistent with the Tesla mission, because sometimes they get asked, like, well, shouldn't Tesla just produce, like, fast cars or premium cars or whatever? It's like, but what's our actual mission? Our actual mission is to accelerate the advent of sustainable energy. So that's why we're making this wide range of cars that don't really make sense from a brand standpoint, I guess, traditionally, but they make total sense when you consider what's the mission of the company. It came from the future. And so it's a beast. So, at Tesla, we don't make slow cars. We don't make this. This thing has crazy power relative to a diesel. Obviously, leveraging.
Right, so here they point out some of the stuff they reused. So they point out that they've got experience with these drive motors. They got experience with the screens. They've got experience with the heat pumps and also the charging
stuff
infrastructure
that we've already done.
Inverters.
So we've got well, it's now probably 51 billion miles driven. I don't know, because more every day. So we're using our existing drive units, power electronics, infotainment, our super efficient heat pump, HVAC system, and state-of-the-art inverters. So we're able to leverage the existing powertrain and elements that are already made at volume.
Awesome.
In order to achieve extreme efficiency of cost and capability. So.
Yeah, and it also means we get to leverage all the reliability that the active car fleet is doing. So we're accumulating all these miles, getting a ton of demonstrated learnings into the field, and we're going to go and put all these trucks into the world and get a lot of learnings as well. But we're coming off of a great launching pad with everything that's done in the rest of our products already. And it's also enabled because Tesla's got this full vertical integration on the software and the hardware side. So the teams that are working together to put all that together into one package, this is a huge win, for all of our products, but particularly Semi.
So, one of the things about a commercial truck is that the reliability has to be.
Here they went over some of their testing.
So it's got to be running continuously, can't break down. It's got to handle every kind of weather.
It's got to be
super important
bulletproof,
for
essentially.
any kind of semi truck.
Not
so
actually
we've
bulletproof,
tested durability in every kind of weather.
It's got to be able to be out there working.
You could.
Yeah. And here you can see some of the testing.
So even just, we've driven Donner, we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but we've been through hot, cold, snow, rain. We've been putting this thing through all its paces in the lab as well as in the real world. The simulation team has been doing an incredible job of being able to scale all of that, in the virtual side. And the other thing is that we're going to take these and we're going to put our money where our mouth is. And we're going to put these on into our own fleet, into our own supply chain. And
this is kind of important right here, because remember that the Tesla bought several trucking companies when they couldn't get the priority they needed to get the deliveries done. So they have a direct comparison to the combustion trucks and a firsthand experience with it, not just because they've had people running the company, running this part of the company that built the combustion trucks, but also they run several dozen of them themselves. And hopefully they quickly get replaced with this, because it's the mission.
We're going to use this to transport goods between our factories and our suppliers because we believe in it, not just from a mission perspective and a cost perspective, but because we want to close that feedback loop. We got to get that learning as fast as we can. We want it straight from the drivers, we want it straight from the service techs that are working on it. We're going to take all that data that's coming in and continue to refine the product and make it better, just like we do on the car side.
So here we're looking at the powertrain.
All right. So yeah, we've got a tri-motor powertrain system. So we're using the
so 2 acceleration units and 1 efficiency unit.
The plaid Model S, Model X powertrain, and but we're actually enabling
and 1 highway drive unit.
2 of the drive units to actually disconnect, so that they're not free spinning. So the efficiency is actually much greater in cruise.
Yeah, this is really unique. I mean, we're going with a tri-motor system. One of them is constantly engaged, so that's for maximum efficiency. You're getting on a highway, that's doing the bulk of the work, and it's operating at the peak efficiency point of the entire drivetrain. And then the other two units are for torque and acceleration. So when the driver needs it to get their job done, whether that's getting out of a loading dock or it's on the road, they need to pass somebody, you're tackling a grade, you have the torque and power to do it. And the cool thing is that these are clutched automatically, so no driver input needed, but it's also seamless. So the highway efficiency unit is cruising along doing its thing, and if the driver puts their foot to the floor, the torque units spin up, clutch engages, and takes over, and it does all of that before we've maxed out the torque on the efficiency unit, so it's completely smooth. There's no turbo lag or jerkiness or anything like that. No driver.
I didn't catch that part the first time around. So he said before we've maxed out the torque on the efficiency unit, which means that that while it is geared for peak efficiency, it's still got a little bit of reserve in it for maybe a slight pass or like a little bunny hill. So it wouldn't even need to spin up these other motors for a little dip in the road. And it also means that there's further less thought involved in I want to pass somebody. You think I'm passing somebody, you push your foot down. You don't have to. It's incredible. Wow.
Input needed. It's smooth, both in terms of acceleration and deceleration for regen. It's really cool happening all behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, what I find actually really wild about this is that you can have a truck which is 82,000 pounds. And by the way, the reason we can actually do 82,000 pounds is that there's a 2,000 pound extra that's allowed by law for electric trucks. So you get a little bit of a advantage on the weight side. But you can basically pull 82,000 pounds at cruise using, and the only thing that's doing that is a tiny little motor on one axle.
Oh, that big, about football size maybe?
Yeah, you can carry it.
Yeah.
It's like a, melon,
you can check it in your luggage. Good luck doing that with a diesel engine. And one of those is more powerful than a diesel. Yeah.
Yeah,
one's more powerful. So it's like having three
more powerful
diesel
than a
engines.
diesel engine on a semi-truck. But
No,
it's
more
just, I
than
find it
three.
like amazing that this enormous thing can be pulled by something that you could carry in your hands. It's like, wow, that's power density.
Yep.
Yeah.
What is
All right,
that
so then-
speedometer?
And here they
So
did
that
the
truck's
pass that we just
clocking
saw
in at
earlier in the
82.
show.
That's weighing 82,000 pounds. And when you see that pass shot again, you'll notice that speedometer is climbing. We're going 6% and accelerating up that grade. Yeah. This is where it comes in.
Yeah.
For trucks down by Emigrant Gap. We've done this.
So here they're talking about the brake check that's required on this particular road. You have to pull over, check your brakes. Their brakes are cold, so they're stopping and they're having a little chat with whoever's doing the inspection, and they're like, "Yeah, great to see you," and then they're continuing on. Let's see. Let's go back to. I'm looking for some particular points here.
Possible with regular diesel trucks. It's a step change in technology in
here really makes that happen because tie-in of some third brake level, the traction control level, we integrate with our.
So this is something that also makes sense right here is that just like the electric cars, because they're directly connected and they check themselves a lot more frequently and have a much faster reaction time, your traction control and everything are just as fast on this truck as they are on your car.
Total stability control system and make sure that the driver has a lot of confidence, but also has everything they need to stay on the road. It's going to be it's a really nice, neat integrated package overall in terms of software and control, and it's totally seamless to the driver, and it'll be a game changer in terms of safety.
And it has anti-jackknifing, and it's pretty cool. All right, so here is the video I was looking for.
So we talked power. You want to talk efficiency?
Yeah, absolutely. So, some people out there say it can't be done. I don't know who might say that, but I've heard rumors.
The Germans.
So we just did it.
It can't be done, so we did it. I like that.
And we're going to post the whole video unedited on YouTube.
Yeah.
All 8 hours.
No jump cuts.
Yeah. And this wasn't, some ultra clean, precise test track simulation or something where we, shut down a road. Nope, this is real world. This is over Grapevine. This is with traffic. This is true 500 miles. We were loaded just under 82K. No special aero treatments.
Yeah.
Truck came off the line, shook it down, made it run. That's it.
Yeah, there was like no fast moves here.
Nope.
So to be clear, it's not like, what tricks did they pull? There are actually a whole bunch of tricks we could have pulled and didn't. Like as Dan said, like no special aero treatment.
Oh, and by the way, we should mention there was no charging. Like we charged the truck. Yeah, we didn't stop to charge. Single driver.
One charge. Exactly.
Yeah.
Good point.
Minor detail.
So it's not like 500 miles like with no load, with special aero and special everything. It's like fully loaded, going from the Bay Area. We actually had to like go a bit north to get to to get to 500 miles because LA to the Bay Area is less than that.
Well, we went all the way to San Diego here, so we stretched out on the southern end, and do you want to see on the video? We have the proof.
Absolutely. So.
All right, so here we see him loading up the vehicle, closing it up.
Don't worry, we brought lots of snacks.
Yeah.
Then they got the time lapse. He's got his water bottle, he's got his phone charging, he's got his other phone off there.
Down the 5,
one thing
up Grapevine, through LA.
One thing I want to point out right here is this wheel is the same as the yoke on the new Model S and X, except that instead of the yoke, it's a round wheel. You've got the turn signals are capacitive touch. You've got the voice, the microphone. You've got your wipers, your horn. Everything is just a touch button. There's no stalks on this thing, just like on the cars.
Traffic, construction. We got the bypass on the way station, but running full 80 or just under 82, full deliveries, nothing to hide.
Yeah.
So that's something that he pointed out. They got the bypass on the way station, meaning that that they obviously have something in the truck, just like on a regular truck, to receive the pass signal. I'm curious if it's on the informatics or if they have like slots to load in for corporate equipment, but I don't see them not putting it in the computer.
Yeah,
I got two of them right there.
He did take one restroom break for. There is a required mandatory 30-minute break within the first 8 hours of operation. Okay. Took a small restroom break, but that was it. Yep.
All right. Cool.
All right, so let's go on to charging unless they continue this. Okay, they're talking about aerodynamics.
So aerodynamic efficiency obviously matters a lot. You can see it's shaped like a bullet. It's really aerodynamic, and that helps a lot. As we get less than 2 kilowatt hours.
2 kilowatt hours a mile.
Yep. So.
And that's the name of the game. Is efficiency there? Yep.
Yep. So. It's really efficient in every way, and.
The team's done.
As I said, it's as easy to drive as a Model 3. So it's like.
So here's a good shot of that jump seat. See how it is the same seat as the driver's seat? Maybe a little thinner in the back, but not much. Same armrest, but the bottom folds up. The seat bottom.
With basically no training, you can drive this.
Look how spacious it is.
You have to think bigger when you're driving it.
So see here, he's got the mirrors the same way as the driver did, kind of on the inside.
We put the seat in the center for max visibility. Low floor, you can stand up in the cabin.
Yeah, and that's actually like a really big deal.
Look at the wheel.
You're a tall guy, Elon. You're able to stand up just fine. And nice thing is that if you're a truck driver and you're out during the day and it's cold, it's snowy, whatever, you can get in and this isn't a sleeper cab. This is a day cab. You can still stand up. Then the idea of this
here they go over some of the features.
Not just while you're on the road, but into the yard as well. That's before and after the truck has done its job on the road.
Here's what I was looking for this whole time.
They'll have a more efficient experience overall.
All right, so this is charging.
Bunch of the various cups and put them in CAD, and you'll see them put them in various cup holder sizes and places. They'll mock up a bag. They'll do all kinds of neat stuff to understand how a driver works throughout the day. and it means that they'll have a more efficient experience overall.
Yeah.
All right, so this is Supercharger V2, V3, and this is Supercharger V4. This is charging ampacity, so amps per millimeter squared. So less than 5, almost 15, and 35 amps per millimeter squared on V4. That is incredible. So as you increase your voltage, you're able to decrease the size of your conductors. And so here we see a V3 charging cable. They've got this many positive connectors, this many negative connectors, and they've got the cooling tubes. And then on V4, we've got their high voltage conductors immersed in the coolant tubes, coolant return tubes. So the coolant is, they've still got the same 2 coolant tubes, but then I guess the coolant is now coming back instead of coming in one and coming out the other. They're both coming in here and they're going back down the conductors, which is really cool, literally and figuratively. And then you see that they've changed the conductors to be more efficient there. Let's see. Here in Europe, the drivers often sleep in the cars. I don't see any sleeping space in the Tesla semis. Exactly. These are day cabs because here in the States, we do the same thing. We don't tend to have the same shape of vehicles as you guys, but the same situation where there's a sleeping space, so they don't have to get off the road. They can be near the load. They can hear somebody trying to steal it, that sort of thing. And it looks like these ones, the initial ones, are for trucks that live at depots. They go in between depots. They live at the port, and they're just shuffling cargo back and forth. I don't know why you need 500 miles for any of that, but they offer it. And I'm hoping that means that really quickly we'll see the sleeper cab configuration. They did a VIN decoder a couple weeks ago when they applied for their final permits to sell these things, and they had a VIN digit that called out, which is the vehicle identification number. They had a digit in the identification number that called out that it was a day cab, and so I'm hoping that they'll have another number soon that calls out the sleeper cab. But at the same time, the folks who are going to need to sleep in their trucks, they also need chargers. So with these chargers rolling out, hopefully, since they're using regular chargers and not specialized chargers, they'll be able to roll them out even faster than it had been anticipated, because we've seen how quickly they can roll out V3 superchargers around the world. If they can do that with V4, then it won't be very long before these trucks are replacing diesel trucks on your daily drives. So you're looking around and all of a sudden you get passed by a truck and it was a Tesla. Let's take a look and see about their charging now. I guess switch windows again. There we go.
Obviously, to charge a truck like this quickly, you need a high-power charger. So we developed a megawatt class charger, as it's capable of charging at a megawatt to DC.
Yeah.
And it's our next generation.
1 megawatt DC. So that sounds like NACS right there, because NACS is 1 megawatt.
Of cooling, so it's liquid cooled. So you don't need like a gigantic elephant trunk of a cable. You can actually have a small cable, and that cable delivers a megawatt. Yeah, with 3x the current density.
I mean, this is really cool stuff. I mean, you're actually immersing the conductor in the coolant, this water-based coolant that we have, and we're then doing some really neat isolation monitoring on the back.
The conductor, e.g. the wires.
End to ensure that it's safe and delivering that it needs to. But it means that we can really shove a lot of current in a very, very small place. So, for those that have worked and charged their cars on a V3 supercharger and the cable's nice and maneuverable, it's the same thing here, but now we're just shoving a megawatt through it instead. So, this is key for high power applications like semi. But you want to tell them, or do you want me to tell them?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be used for Cybertruck too.
Yeah.
Eh?
So this is coming to our superchargers next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the future of transport obviously requires a sustainable energy infrastructure. So you got to have all aspects of the energy question answered. Sustainable power generation, then you've got to store the power, and then you transfer the power to the vehicle. So the three pillars of a sustainable energy future are sustainable power generation with solar and wind. I'm actually a fan of nuclear, which we should support. And geothermal and many others, but things that are sustainable long-term, but things like wind and solar are intermittent, so you have to have the battery pack to store the energy, so when the wind doesn't blow and the sun doesn't shine, you still have energy, and you can also buffer the power so you're not overloading the grid with spike loads.
So this goes for all the folks who are, even after this presentation, were like, oh, there's no infrastructure, you're gonna cause brownouts, you can't run the truck because it needs megawatts of power, blah, 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 small city, small village. I don't know how electricity works, but I'm gonna speak loudly about which I don't know. He said solar, wind, intermittent. We know this. So they're going to have a battery to buffer that. He likes nuclear. That's fine. Geothermal, tidal, hydro, they're all available. But if you have this mega pack, the Tesla mega pack is a product you can buy if you got the money for it in the space. It doesn't need to charge at full speed. It can charge at these lower rates, and they can output the full power to the trucks. So yes, the infrastructure is there. Like as they drop down the charger, they're going to drop down a mega pack or two, and depending on what the site needs. Because obviously, at like a truck depot, they might need 2 or 3 of these things. But just like some random supercharger in the middle of nowhere that's just for the trucks, they might only need one, especially if it's got solar and wind on site.
Yeah, and our semi customers are actively deploying this today, and we're working with them so that they have the pathway to get towards 100% sustainable future. But we have all of this at our disposal. Commercial solar and Megapack, and the Megapack is great because not only can it do things like peak shaving or some of the other energy modulation, but it also provides a form of redundancy and backup. I mean, if we're gonna
because that was another thing that these big brands were pointing out. They're like, oh, well, what if I need to charge my truck and there's a grid outage? Oh, I can't stop just because Toledo is out of power. I need to get my load there on time. I've got to get this medicine to these sick children in California or New York or whatever. Megapack, redundancy, high availability.
Ask a fleet to take on these trucks and run them. They need to ensure that they're going to be able to charge them and keep their fleet running in the event of a power outage. And that's one of the things that we can do.
Right there, in the event of a power outage. Doesn't get any clearer than that.
With the Megapack on site as well.
All right. So, and post deliveries are now.
Yeah.
First deliveries are now. That was on Thursday. So later on, he mentioned that the drinks and the snacks were actually driven from Pepsi to there. And let's see on these articles which one is talking about the truck. Another thing that wasn't brought up during all of this is that the Tesla semi-truck has armor glass because armor glass is very much like the bulletproof glass on the Cybertruck, where it's designed to resist cracking and breaking, because in a lot of places these trucks are registered, having a chip in the window will put the truck down until you get a new windshield. And if it's made of really hard glass, then there's less chance of having to put it down to get a new windshield. Lots of little tweaks like that, in addition to where they showed how you can dump the load, dump the air from right there on the screen, and everything like that. So let's go on to some of these analyses right here. Share this tab instead. All right, so Musk confirms the Cybertruck will come at 1 megawatt plus fast charging. We just heard him say that right there at the event. During the event, Dan Priestley, senior manager for Semitruck, and then Semitruck engineering at Tesla, shared various aspects of the Semi, including one which was its charging, confirming their previous reporting that it will be over 1 megawatt at their mega chargers. Thus, they call them mega chargers, or semi-chargers, or V4 superchargers. So V3 is a quarter of that at 250 kilowatts. but is expected to get an update to 300 kilowatts. We talked about that earlier when we first discovered that V4 was coming. They pointed out that the one more thing during this presentation seems to have been the Cybertruck doing the V4 supercharging. Yeah, they'll be coming to superchargers next year, which we presume will be V4 chargers. And he previously reported on popping up building plans for future supercharger stations. The 1,000-volt architecture will be coming to other future passenger vehicles, but not specify which ones. So for sure, semi-truck and Cybertruck. And then they pointed out the immersion cooling that we just saw on screen there. Cybertruck is supposed to enter production in mid-2023. We'll see. Musk also said the semi's 1,000-volt architecture will be coming to other passenger vehicles. That's which one? Wrong. He said Cybertruck. What I thought. Well, I wasn't paying enough attention even during this replay to see if he said future ones, but they did say Cybertruck. All right, so then let's move on to here. Deliver the first semis to Pepsi, and you say, well, Pepsi, Frito-Lay is owned by Pepsi. That's why it's two different designs. All right, so the tri-motor drivetrain with the clutch. Very powerful motors. They talked about the 6% grade, 500-mile range test, which wasn't a full charge, 97 to 4%. So it's only 93% usage, which actually would work for if any of the owners are like us personal owners, and they only charge to the trip number, the 90%. They didn't say how much it costs, how much it weighs, how many they're producing. It did used to cost $180,000, and they wouldn't be surprised if it was under $200,000 now, or would be rather. We're not watching the full event again, so this will give you some perspective. Is there hidden text in there? No. Interesting. All right, so let's finish up the semi real quick here. Elon semi-confirms the semi-pack battery size. Somebody had fun with headlines. So this guy here, Paul K, was saying, all right, let's do some math. Range 500 miles. Efficiency is 2 kilowatt hours per mile. So let's estimate around 1,000 kilowatt hours. Elon says current efficiency is 1.7 kilowatt hours per mile, but there's a clear path to 1.6 or possibly 1.5. Interesting. So I don't know if that'll be optimization of the firmware or future models, like just future builds, but that is really cool. So he didn't answer the question of the battery pack size. I can make a good guess. 1.7 kilowatt hours per mile, at least battery pack around 850 kilowatt hours. And Patrick came up with another number. Let's check him out after this. Indicating it can actually travel further than 500 miles, making the pack likely closer to 900 kilowatt hours or more. And see if there are any comments on this one. None. So let's go over to carswithgorge.net. Spelled that right. Yep. So he's got an article now about how big is the Tesla semi-truck battery. I like this graphic here. Pepsi can on the back of the semi. Now this semi doesn't have mirrors, so it's probably the prototype. So Patrick thinks that it's currently going to be looking at 914 kilowatt hours usable. So what, 925, 950 actual? And then he gives the reasons why. And he points out that Elon said 1.7. And there we go. I guess I should check the notify. Oh well. Let's see. So I was talking about Starlink had an announcement. It's not exactly Starlink, this is SpaceX, but they have a new product called Star Shield, which is a secure satellite network for governments. So you can do stuff like imaging, Starlink style constellations for data, as well as anything else that you want to put on your satellite. And they'll launch it up the same way they launched the Starlink satellites on Starship and on Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy if needed. Let's see. So the governments will be able to sign up for different packages, focusing on Earth observation, communication, and hosted payloads. So the hosted payloads will be anything that's not imaging or communication. So Starlink is encrypted end-to-end. Starshield promises even more security with high assurance cryptographic capacity, which means clients can host highly sensitive payloads and process data at the security that governments require. Starshield satellites can accommodate a wide variety of payloads thanks to their versatility, and they could also integrate Starlink satellites for clients wishing to run both. So if you have some top secret stuff, you can run it through the Starshield network, and you have to use it at specified terminals. But then if you have stuff that you need to push down to your less secret networks, you can run them straight over Starlink and save yourself some money, which is pretty cool. Yourself meaning your government and your taxpayers, your citizens. So that is nice because they're going to be paying a premium for this. But the cool thing is the way that SpaceX operates, that premium they're charging the government's probably around what we're looking at for Starlink for maritime and aviation. A whole lot of money per terminal and for dish for satellite, but still less than we're seeing with the current defense contractors, like the billions of dollars we've spent launching a non-reusable rocket around the moon. Finally, after months and months of delays. All right, so let's see. They've proven their abilities by working with the US DoD and other partners. Militaries worldwide are already considering SpaceX Starlink to support their operations, including the US, which is testing it in the Arctic. The UK is testing it in remote areas, and Ukraine and Japan, of course, are also using it today. Then they point out the recent approval, which is what got me onto Star Shield in the first place. 3 launches in 36 hours. That's cool. And no comments on this one. That's fine. All right, so let's look at this data caps thing since that's new to me. All right, so what, late yesterday, or I just missed the tweet. Let's see. February. I need to go put mine out and let them resync. This could get better with its clients. We're used to consuming as much data as they needed. Now, a Redditor has posted a screenshot from the Starlink app that indicates data cap implementation has been postponed to February of 2023. This message also confirms that the data cap applies to Starlink business and maritime users, which we knew because when they made the announcement, they had 2 different versions of the announcement. They had one for residential and then one for business. They consider maritime to be business because at $5,000 a month, who else is buying that stuff except for rich people who own mega yachts? That's a business. All right, so under what's under the fair use, to ensure our customer base is not negatively impacted by a small number of users consuming unusually high amounts of data, the Starlink team is implementing fair use policy beginning February of 2023. Now, I do wish they had also adjusted the cap, soft cap with this to 1.5 terabytes or 2 terabytes. When you look at the number of people who have Starlink that are not abusing it, that are touching almost 2 terabytes every month, it's substantial. I mean, when you look at how much streaming 4K TV takes, and people say, "Oh, 4K is a luxury." Well, internet, broadband internet is a little bit of a luxury too. It's becoming a human right. It's recognized by our own government, but it's not quite there yet. And if that's your only connection, why shouldn't you be able to watch your TV in 4K just because you live in the middle of nowhere? I think it would be fair to make that a 2 terabyte cap, because if you're using more than 2 terabytes, then you're probably doing some stuff, like either you have a really large family or you are sharing it with your whole village. There are plans for that, but not on the residential plan. And as we saw with the what they specified for the caps, it looks like they're going to allow different tiers for business now rather than just a business. So you can get slow business or fast business and buy some buckets of terabytes up to, I think we saw what, 3 or 5. So that would be fair for those folks, like if you're running a hotel or sharing it with your village. But I don't think it's fair to the residential customers to punish them just because they want to watch TV. Now, if they want to, download all of the shows or something, that's different. And then yes, you do get the break between 11 and 7, but that would mean that you have to have a streaming platform that allows you to download your shows, and also remember to, or schedule or something, get that done so that they happen during off peak. I was looking at how much data I consume for work in just the last couple of days, and it was a couple gigabytes, and I haven't been running as hard as I have been some other months. So that was interesting to me, that even just how much work uses by itself. Let's see. And then don't forget, I'm a YouTuber. So this stream, I think, takes about 5 or 6, 10 gigs every time I do it. Easily. In fact, I take that back. I think it's 5, 6, 10 gigs just for the Tesla Life and the What Drives Us show, not even this show, because this show is much longer. Let's see. Yeah, so we talked about the caps. We knew that. Any comments on this one? None. That's their homepage. Don't need that. All right, so let's get over to Ford for a minute. Ford, their dealers are... Well, in addition to what we saw earlier this year, where folks were marking up the Ford Lightning to double the price, or doing all sorts of nefarious stuff to try and get a little bit extra money from the customers, Ford has already delayed their requirement for when they had to decide whether they would sell EVs or not. And it wasn't just a choice, oh, we want to sell EVs, but also you have to have the equipment to support the EVs. And that makes sense. But now all of a sudden, lawmakers, senators, and especially Connecticut lawmakers are getting involved. And this just screams that one of the dealer groups didn't want to spend the money, and also didn't want to give up the sales of the cars that they don't want to actually properly support. Again, this goes back to that stupid cartoon that they put out that said that the dealers are best for you, and they gave a whole bunch of stuff that didn't actually make sense, as far as they support Little League, and when your company goes out of business, the dealer will be here to support you. But as we saw with all the dealership closings from GM, they won't be. The only reason that the GM dealers were still supporting the orphaned cars was because they use the same parts, and so they were still GM dealers, and so they could still get you Saturn, Oldsmobile, Pontiac parts because they were the same parts. But it wasn't because the dealer was just magnanimous and they wanted to help you out. The Hummer dealers and the Oldsmobile dealers and all of them, they if that was all they had from GM, they shut down. They closed. I'm still thinking about this one. Well, several of them actually, because the Hummer was a unique shape sales center. Some of them weren't attached to other GM products, so they just closed down, became RV dealers or whatever, or rusted out. I guess not saying they rusted out because you could see the shape. Then they were on prime frontage road or on Main Street or whatever. But look at is it Mini or Smart, whoever it was, when they quit, well, their dealer closed. Well, they're not servicing your car anymore. And the reason those dealers quit is because they didn't want to sell EVs. Same as this. So I still contend, and the dealers are probably seeing this, that Ford Blue is going to be where they store all the stuff that they're done with and they don't want to be bothered with. and that Ford Model E is where all the stuff they want to keep is gonna be, like some of the commercial stuff and all the EVs. And what's probably gonna happen? My speculation is that they're gonna dump Ford Blue. It's gonna be its own separate company. They spin it off, and all these dealers that are just. I'm not saying all dealers are bad. This I got the wrong date on the list chat. Uh, let's fix this. Over an hour into the show. There we go. So they probably see that they're about to get dumped, and if your way is so compelling, then prove it. Like I keep saying, I didn't add 10% of the value when I was selling cars. I did add value, and you did have reason to buy from me. But if you didn't buy from me, then you still get your car. You might not know how to use it in depth the way that I teach. You might not have had somebody fighting for you if a panel gap was crooked or whatever, but you could fight for your own panel gaps and save that money. I don't know. It's like other industries. Like you can buy your phone from the phone store, or you can buy it from Best Buy, or you can buy it directly from Apple and Samsung or whoever. Sometimes you get something extra from the other staff. Sometimes you don't. Other times they could manage to get you better deals somehow. And point there is that you're not forced to buy it through your local phone company. You have a choice, and it should be this way with cars. It just should. And I'm not saying that all dealers are bad. You have a lot of bad apples out there, but not in the sense that one bad apple spoils a bunch. No, because they're all independent. But there's a reason some folks call them dealerships, because there are plenty of them out there that are like that. But again, not all. So anyway, so Senator Richard Blumenthal has slammed Ford's EV certification programming, labeling it as egregious treatment of dealers. He must request the FTC and state authorities investigate automakers for violation of franchise law. What is going on over here? Oh, Georgia is tweeting a lot. What's up, Georgia? If she's even watching the show, I don't know. All right, so then after Blumenthal, a group of Connecticut state lawmakers have criticized the program. It was delivered as a press conference as a high-ranking Connecticut Automotive Retailers Association member. Again, somebody who didn't have the guts to go complain to Ford. They probably also one of the ones that said, we need more time, and then rather than say, hey, Ford, we're not going to do it, they came up and said, hey, Senator, help us out. We don't want to do it. Don't be a sore loser. I mean, if you don't want to sell EVs, just say I don't want to sell EVs and kick rocks. All right, so this one, as you saw, we saw it from the homepage, but Dan pointed it out to me. Dan? I think Dan. Maybe Omar. Canoo supplies light tactical vehicle to the U.S. military for analysis and demonstration. Well, this one might have been Marcus last week, but there was another one recently that I believe it was Dan showed where they were doing donuts with the Canoo. Let me go to the messengers. All right, well, here's one from Dan. Let's take a look at this real quick. EU official quits. U.S. meeting as tension over electric car subsidies persists. I'm suspecting that this is because we won't give them subsidies in Europe for the Inflation Reduction Act. Yep. Not participate in a meeting of the EU-US Trade Council because not enough time has been scheduled to discuss their concerns. Okay. Well, we have our goals, and accommodating you is a courtesy. All right, so Marcus sent us this one. Let me pause it real quick. So we covered this electric fire truck when it was announced and when it was being delivered, but we never actually saw it in operation. So let's take a look at this. Silent, other than the sirens and the air brakes. Now this does have a diesel engine for long-term operation and APU, but it is an electric truck. There we go. Thank you for sharing that, Marcus. And let's see. This one's coming from Dan. It was kind of fun to see. So these folks were flying, and there was a
Ladies and gentlemen, we have liftoff.
All right. Always cool. And then Marcus pointed out that there was a sale for a minute on Tesla sweaters. But by the time he let me know, I tried to buy a large for me and my wife. Large was sold out, so I got an XL. Actually, I think we got two XLs at that point. But then shortly after I got the XLs, who told us? Was it Dan or Lee? Lee pointed out that they were all sold out. So that didn't take long. So you'll see some people that you know that are enjoy the product wearing these sweaters. Let's see here. Then Albuquerque's Sandia National Labs expressed concerns about EV charging, and they were already addressed by the Tesla Megacharger with Megapack point that we talked about in the semi. And then, it came up as a tweet. Why would you come up as a tweet? I need you as a web link. Can I copy the link? Yeah, let's copy the link. And let's go over here. All right, I guess I gotta close Twitter. Close. All right. Oh, it opened several times for me. So now we'll share this tab instead. And the Ford Mustang Mach-E is no longer recommended by Consumer Reports, citing things like noise and the amount of times that you had to take it into the dealership. I still think it's a good car, and everybody I know that has one still likes theirs. But apparently enough people that subscribe to Consumer Reports did not feel the same way when Consumer Reports polled them about it. All right, let's see here. Let's see. This one was fun. So this guy got a Chevy Bolt EV Redline, and he said he returned it. A little bit of clickbaity title. what it is that he didn't have heat, and I had this happen on my Volt. And what the case was the Volt. Oh, sorry, my second Volt. What the case was with that Volt was they didn't plug in the heater. So I'm hoping that that was the case with this guy's. Let's see if he came up with a resolution. Cyber Sleuth. Climate control interface worked perfectly on both the panel and infotainment screen. It just wouldn't produce heat. Yeah, that's what mine did. No errors, just no heat. Turn the heat button on with both physical switch and infotainment screen, but it just blew cold air. Yeah, that's what mine did. There wasn't a physical switch though on the Volt because they had the that nasty. I mean, you got your way around it as you owned it, but it was all just capacitive with little nubs, and the nubs didn't turn or anything. It was just to help you find your way around the thing without looking. Even with it on max, yep. Auto, yep, same. The coolant was full, yes. Look and see where he says they did plug it in. Try looking under the seat and see if you find something like this that isn't plugged in. Well, it's at the dealership. I assume this will be under both seats. I did a quick look, didn't see anything. I recognize these I usually go to. Yep, that's them. Good dealer, okay. Default. What if that's the same as MD Default? If it is, I know that guy. All right, so I'm just looking for that guy's follow-up update. Service center said it was neither it was a bad heating element and the part is being overnighted. Probably won't get fixed in time for our trip, but I might have them install some ceramic tint since it'll just be sitting there. That's cool. Some dealers do install tint. I worked at one that did. All right, let's see if he came up with a solution in the end. Update, just picked up the bolt from getting the heat repair. The first heating unit was damaged in shipping, so second one had to get ordered. Here are the notes. Customer states heater is not up. Scanned and no codes in the system. Check the heater core and hoses, and not hot. Called SAC, which is technical assistance. Basically, it's tech support for dealers, dealer repairs. I was told to check the heater is plugged in. Same as mine. But he verified that the heater was plugged in. Internal short in the heater. Replace cabin heater. Part number 42771255. The heater. And of course, because you took the heater out, you also have to replace the coolant. So part number 12378990 coolant. Unfortunately, I discovered a new issue when I picked it up. No sound from any source. It sounds like they forgot to plug the radio back in while they were in there. AM, FM, Sirius XM, or Bluetooth. Then after 5 minutes into a drive, a loud, constant, high-pitched tone started emitting from the speakers. I muted it and completed the 12-mile trip home. Actually, maybe not. My Volt did some crap like this when Bluetooth would disconnect in a way it didn't like after a phone call. And it would just either freeze the head unit, screech, or go silent. Went through the menu, reset everything, but still no sound. After searching Google, I went back out, do a hard reboot of the infotainment system. However, the issue had magically resolved itself. That's exactly what mine did. It just did not like some phones, Windows Phone, Android phone, iPhone. It would just freak out with the way that they conducted themselves. Hopefully this is the final new car bug I have to deal with because I'm becoming increasingly frustrated with the quality of my first GM vehicle. Oh boy. Yeah, my first one was a partial lemon. Shouldn't have got that second one. I would have had my Model S a lot sooner. Glitch in the infotainment system is common, not just a GM. My wife Subaru occasionally would do the same. After turning the car off for about 5 minutes, it usually resolves itself. Okay, so maybe that's just common. But yeah, like I said, my Volts both did it. But especially the 2012, something about that one with the hard drive, it just really didn't like my Bluetooth. The 2013 had their what do they call it, MyLink. Basically, it had Bluetooth streaming, and it was much nicer about everything than the 2012 when it came to infotainment. All right, back to the notebook, which is moved in favor of chat. This one is probably not going to happen now, but we'll talk about it anyway. This one's cool. This one's neat. This one is related to something we already discussed. All right, so let's start here with the thing that I said is probably not going to happen. So Elon was being Elon on Twitter and just kind of spouting off and not thinking things through. He offended Apple apparently. Tim Cook, had a little meeting with him at Apple Circle, and Elon took a video there of the fountain, the lake, whatever. They I would say kissed and made up, but that's not. um, they made up, and so Apple is no longer threatening to remove Twitter from the App Store, and somebody suggested they might also go as far as also threatening the Tesla app in the App Store, which, if that happened, it probably would be Elon throwing a fit that Twitter was removed, that he would pull Tesla from there, not necessarily that Apple would go so far as to get a whole separate company with because yes, Elon owns Twitter, but he doesn't own. I guess he's the biggest owner of Tesla, but he doesn't own Tesla by himself. Uh, I would think that they could be in a bad spot if they retaliated by taking Tesla out of the App Store. So if that were to happen, it probably would be coming from the Elon side. But that's not happening now because they made up. And this person they pointed out is on the far right side. Elon says, I certainly hope it does not come to that, but if there's no other choice, then I'll make an alternative phone. And so, since it hasn't come to that, and Elon hates phones as far as he doesn't think they're a smart business investment, now there will not, once again, not be a Tesla phone. And there we go. Like I said, it was kind of a nothing burger story because I came in it afterwards. Next. Oh, chat is not showing. Let me make sure I haven't missed any messages from you guys. Okay, chat is back. Stellantis and Lancia have relaunched Lancia as a electric car brand, and they're teasing a radical EV design. This looks really cool. I don't know if we're looking at a concept or what. I would like that. It's probably a concept though. Yeah. No, it's not even a concept. It doesn't have wheels. It floats. So I guess I wouldn't drive that because it's physically impossible with today's tech. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's a Lancia sculpture. All right, let's move on. You know how I feel about prototypes that are from companies that don't necessarily give you what they show you. All right, so Tesla moves up plans for Giga Berlin's third shift after crews set a new single-day production record, and it's been updated. Let's see. So they recently surpassed 20,000 vehicles built at the end of October. Their 10,000 Model Ys were built in mid-September, and crews at the factory built 2,000 cars in a single week, which is really cool. Assuming 100% uptime, the 6-day work week at Giga Berlin, the factory's production is going to be 333 cars a day. That's pretty cool. But with the new shift, without the new shift, the new record is 550. So around 330 cars. According to Drive Tesla, the third shift will start in mid-December. After meeting between Elon and Giga Berlin team, the third shift has been moved to the second week of January. Okay. Okay. So that put them at 5,000 cars per week with the third shift. All right. That's just out of Germany. All right, so here's one I was looking for in the notes. Something. Share this tab instead. I don't know why I'd open a new window. So the Michigan police testing results are out, and the Ford Mustang Mach-E struggled. So I put in, am I even close to there in the notes? No. I put in that there was a tweet where somebody pointed out that the 60 to 0 braking test, it looked like they weren't using the car they said they were using. It looked like they were using the GT, and they claimed to be using the standard model. So the study looked at 13 patrol units and 3 motorcycle units with all-electric Ford Mustang Mach-E, once again among the list of contenders. they did not do so well last time they were looked at last year. Let's see. Much like last year, the Mustang Mach-E passed, but it struggled in some areas. On the time lapse, the EV fell behind and had the slowest average lap of the entire group, with an average time through 5 laps at Grattan Raceway of 1:41.63. The average fastest time went to the Ford Police Interceptor at 3. What an awkward name. Ford Police Interceptor Utility 3-liter EcoBoost all-wheel drive. Stupid name for a car. 135.42. That's not that much slower. 6 seconds slower for 5 laps. Again, or as well as it scored in the middle of the pack in terms of ergonomics and brought up the rear in terms of communications, which is weird because it's got all the extra power. On the bright side, the Mach-E performed well in acceleration testing. Yeah, it's better, showing off the advantages of instant electric torque, and led the pack in statistics for reaching 60 slightly faster than the other cars at 3.93 versus 6.97. That's not just slightly, that's huge in the car world. 80 in 6.37 versus 11.26, and 100 in 12.23 versus 17. Okay, so they're catching up at the 100. But the amount of times police need to do 100, you shouldn't be doing high-speed chases. In general. The electric crossover also performed well in the braking test, requiring the shortest distance, 122.8 feet, to stop from 60. There you go. 102 pages. What page is the Mustang on? All of them. Never mind. So let me put the link to this article here, and then you can find the PDF, and you can go through it yourselves, because that summary is enough for me. Gee, nothing but Ford, Chevy, and Dodge. Typical in today's world. Don't go for the best and excellence, but politically correct, in Michigan at least. It is a Michigan law enforcement. Many law enforcement agencies going with Teslas, as well as even the California Department of Transportation bought 300 Teslas. Yes, Caltrans bought 300 Teslas. All right, another tweet. New version of the Tesla mobile app is available. You can see the release notes from within the app. I don't know if we discussed that or not, but yes, you can now, and that is cool. And the live camera view is not accessible from the main screen of the app. And they tore down the app and found that there appears to be an asset for looking at the interior cameras where equipped. So that's something I can do because my interior camera wasn't built by Tesla. It requires a separate app. What's next here? Vietnam's VinFast ships the first EVs to U.S. customers, and cars were expected to be handed over to customers by the end of December, the company said. So they're expected to be in transit for roughly a month. Wish them luck. And I would certainly like to talk to a VinFast customer to understand how you feel about leasing your battery pack, but owning the car. All right, so then we have the new Pepsi Challenge. Coke and Pepsi race towards sustainable delivery fleets. Like I said, this is related to the Tesla Semi and the Freightliner. Pepsi and Coke have implemented heavy-duty electric trucks. After teasing Elon Musk and Tesla in early October, saying some talk the talk, some walk the walk, Volvo-owned Renault Trucks announced Coca-Cola has successfully implemented electric trucks for delivery in Europe. Coca-Cola Europe Pacific partners will be using 30 electric trucks built for last-mile deliveries to local Belgium customers for the first 5 rolling out last week. Last week being November 28th. Some talk the talk, some walk the walk. Ain't that right, Elon Musk? So they put up a Tesla Semi app, which wouldn't happen anytime soon. and then they get into their Volvo electric truck. And you can hear it's an electric truck. And you hear them drive off. Which is the only reason I risk the music, is so you can hear it's electric. So they're not in the same category as Tesla Semi. There are no ED Tech and D Wide, because they are last mile delivery cubes, as you can see here on screen. Like I say, electrify all the things, but man, can you stop like with the weird false competition? You can't do the same work with these trucks as you can do with the other one. Come on now. Everybody can just play along, and right now you have the whole market to yourself because Tesla's not there. So just shake hands and roll on, dude. Sorry, that just irritates me. It's like you make it into a fight when they're not even actually competitive. Loading up some more articles here. I don't know what's on here. Let's share this tab instead. Yes. So the Lordstown endurance units head to customers for initial deliveries. And at some point in this, there were 2 deliveries, whopping 2. And then shortly after I heard about the 2 deliveries, I heard that they got their approval to actually sell the vehicles, which is either the news folks got the stuff out of order or is a huge risk, because you can't sell vehicles without a certificate in the States. And that's a huge risk. Also, they were contenders for Truck of the Year because you had to both have sold them and they had to be all new for that year. So if you were all new and didn't sell them in time for the competition, you didn't qualify, and you never would until your next refresh of the truck. And I don't mean like the headlights refresh, like the next version of the truck. All right, so Lordstown's expected production rate for 2022 and 2023 quotes from Q3 earnings call were added. Let's see how many they plan to make. The first of 500 endurance units are leaving the Foxconn EV Ohio plant. Remember, this used to be Lordstown, and then Lordstown wasn't good at running a business, and then they sold it to Foxconn, and now Foxconn is building the trucks for them. Interesting. Actually, this could work because AMD is a fabulous chip maker. They design chips and other people build them for them. Approximately 30 commercial units of the first batch are estimated to be built by the end of 2022. Ooh, that's not 500. The remainder built in the first half of 2023. After initial commercial production began, Lordstown still did not have EPA green light. Maybe the news didn't have it out of order. The green light needed to begin customer deliveries. EPA and CARB both needed to certify endurance emissions and range through testing. Certifications were recently received, and they were followed by FMVSS crash and non-crash testing, which the vehicle also passed. Oh, did you sell it without crash tests too? It's just 2, but that fee could be massive. In just one short year, blah, blah, blah. Where is the... Did they just weave it into the article? Looks like they did. I'm not seeing the update. Yeah, congrats to them. I wish them well. All right, moving on to this. So speaking of Lordstown and Foxconn, Volkswagen may partner with Foxconn to bring the Scout EV to the US. And the Scout EV is going to be if it happens, it's going to be a Volkswagen truck. And we talked about many weeks ago, the revival of the Scout brand was both interesting to some people and also terrifying to some dealers because they weren't told about it. And also, not only were they not told about it, but it also looks like they weren't being on the list to sell them, which was their real concern. Oh well. Also, if they do it, that's cool. If they don't, oh well. There'll be plenty of other electric trucks in the market. And in that size, you've got the Rivian. Northvolt may delay the German battery plant and is looking at the US. Northvolt, they make a lot of batteries for sailing and RVing at the moment, but that's not all they do. see, according to Bloomberg, they will decide next year whether the Heide facility in Heide facility in Germany. Do you guys hear the notifications? I've heard that at one point somebody was able to hear my notifications. If so, I need to do something about it. All right, so yeah, we'll see. I'll let you know more when they decide what they're gonna do. Ah, it went to Twitter again. All right, so let's click this and then close this and see if it does what I wanted. It did, sort of. All right, let's share this tab instead. It's not even the one I was working on. Tesla Megapacks power Europe's largest battery energy storage system. Recently launched in the UK to support the grid. So yeah, you can use this to power your semi-chargers, or you can use it to power the grid itself. Use it as a buffer for your renewable energy, or grid stabilization to keep the frequency in check, or just to eliminate peaker plants, as we see a lot of power companies around the world are doing, eliminating peaker plants with the Tesla Megapacks. So this one is 196 megawatt hours of energy and 98 megawatts of power, which means that 2-hour power supply at full power or longer at lower power. There you go. And here it is under construction. And 196 megawatt hours is the largest battery energy storage system in Europe, and that several other countries are several times bigger battery systems. Europe still has a lot to do. Okay. Don't spit on them. They're moving in the right direction. All right. Then there's a report that Tesla's new customers are coming from Toyota and Honda most frequently, according to Conquest studies. I came from Toyota and Honda via Chevy. that's pretty much all I bought at the time was Toyotas and Hondas, until neither of them had an EV. Chevy did, so I went Chevy. And there you go. Here's the Tesla Conquest by Toyota and Honda at 15 and 13%. Oh, excuse me. BMW at 6.7, Mercedes at 6.2 or 12.9 together, Ford at 5.4, Lexus at 5.3, Chevy at 4.7. Well, that'd be a little bit higher. Audi at 4.4 and Subaru at 4.3, with all others combined at 34.4. 525,000 new EVs registered so far this year. Whenever they did the study, Tesla still dominates by 65%, down from 79% in 2020, and the drop below 20% in 2025. And like I keep telling the people who freak out about this, oh my goodness, they're not 35% anymore or whatever. If the pie is getting bigger and you're still getting the biggest piece of pie, everybody gets more pie. Why does it matter? And if the mission for Tesla is just for everything to be EV, they don't even care. So let it be. Customers leaving gas vehicles were found most often to buy a Tesla Model Y or Tesla Model 3. That makes sense. They're more affordable and they're an appropriate size. As we saw in the Tesla Semi presentation, they are considered mid-size. Is this air quality thing off? It's one of those ones that needs USB A to B, or USB A to C, and not straight USB C. So that's how I used to power it. Anyway, results indicating why the customers left these brands at 0%. That's fine. Moving on. You can now buy a Tesla wall connector with the standard NACS port or J1772 port at Best Buy. There you go. They start selling the adapters in stores too. It'd be a lifesaver on a road trip and an adapter died. How often do your adapters die? So I bought two, one in the cabin and one in a box in the front. In a pinch, I can give one to somebody whose adapter is lost, stolen, or broken. I don't get it. It's solid state. What are you people doing to your adapters? Or me, who after 3 years left it plugged into a charger and left, I think. I've done that once or twice before. Thankfully, I realized and go back. Or it's like a charge point and it won't go back in. So that helps too. That's why I leave bright electrical tape around the perimeter of my adapter. It helps us see it and not forget. This is true. F for respects. I unlatch the charger for the adapter first and then grab the adapter on the way back in the car. Nah, I pull the whole thing. I click it, pull, and then unlatch it. And that usually does the trick for me. I don't know how I forgot it that one time. This is why I bought 14. So this guy's being a jokester. Do the adapters die often? No. That's what I was saying. Like, what? People walking past EVSEs at Best Buy or Tesla. Cool. People walking past EVSEs at Best Buy. Tesla will or not will do a lot for mainstream acceptance. This is true. Not sure what Best Buy you've been to, but since COVID, many mine may as well be a drive-up pickup counter. None of the sold in there when I shop. Not the ones I've been into. They've all had a decent amount of people. All right, so let's go look at the thing. Share this tab instead. So this is the Tesla wall connector, 24-foot electric vehicle charger, 48 amp, hardwired white. $400. Not bad. I could add one to cart. Apparently get a coupon on it. Or you could get the one with the J1772. Oh wow. They sell the JSLA connector. Look at that. And the this is what they were talking about. The adapters right there. Get it. You can also get the J1772 Tesla wall connector at 48 amps, hardwired, 24-foot. One thing I like about this one is presumably since it does have the button on it and it's by Tesla, that it will also open the door on your Tesla. Here they show it with the Fiat 500e. Let's go back. I'm curious what they have at the other one. If they have any pictures. Oh, they do. As for the Model 3, it's with the Model 3. No, it's a Model Y. Look at those wheels. And the way the hatch is done. Cool stuff. Moving on. The F-150 Lightning was towed away. Owner says his Electrify America fried his truck. Now, we don't yet know what happened. But we do know that it seems that the DC to DC converter was unable to do its thing because he said the truck worked when they towed it away, but it didn't work at the dealer. And the dealer said they needed to put a new 12-volt battery in it before they could even start to figure out what happened, which I thought was weird because most dealers I've ever worked at had ways to either tend or simulate the battery without actually having a battery in the vehicle, or if the alternator on the vehicle is broken, DC to DC converter in this case, you could both power up all the vehicle functions and charge the 12-volt battery. So their excuse that they needed to wait for a new battery was foreign to me, unless there was an internal fault in the battery and it was like shorting or something. But so once they get a new battery, then we should find out more about this vehicle. Brandon says we'd be curious to know if there's another case of chargers supplying more current than the vehicle's requesting, like what Kyle Connor encountered with Taycan and Rivian. Oh, really? And that would also be consistent with if it is getting more power and it opens the contactors or blows a fuse or in any sort of way tries to protect itself. If it does it in a permanent way, like blowing the pyro fuse, that would also not give it high voltage to feed the DC to DC converter. If it wasn't one of the newer chargers, but I find out, I'll post something. Motor Trend reached out to EA for clarification, got a reply back saying the charging network operator is investigating an unfortunate issue experienced by Eric Rowe and reached out to him. Apparently, Mr. Rowe reached out to Ford about his issue. They told him nothing could be done before December 9th, but then a Ford spokesperson found out about the story and was escalating to engineering experts to quickly speed things up. Because as you can see, December 9th isn't for another 5 days. And this happened, for Thanksgiving, right? November 28th. Ford got back to Mr. Rowe after taking the truck from him to say that first it needed to have its 12-volt battery replaced. Otherwise, it'd be unable to diagnose the problem. For those that didn't see, I just rolled my eyes. He mentioned this in another tweet when he said the dealership got into the bay and are now saying the 12 volts is dead, but it was working when we were sitting there in it after the issue. And this is something that you'll see in a Tesla after the crash: is the 12 volt works and it works fine, but because your airbags are deployed, the pyro fuse also deploys, and the DC to DC can't get power. All the systems that do power with 12 volt are still doing their thing. They still draw a lot of power, and Teslas have teeny tiny little batteries, so they the starter batteries, the 12 volt batteries, they run out before everything is done. So by the time you need to work with collisions and stuff, the car's just dead. Let's see. It was working when we were still sitting in it after the issue. Yeah. They won't do anything until after they get a replacement 12 volt, which I'm not even a mechanic and I know this. According to Motor Trend, Electrify America did not provide a timeline for when its investigation into what happened would conclude, but it was actively working on it, and at first glance, it sounds like the charger supplied more current than the vehicle was able to handle and may have gone into a protection mode to keep the battery pack from getting damaged. We'll update this story when Electrify America has news about the matter. We've also reached out to both Ford and EA, but have not heard back. So I like Tesla's solution of just opening the contactors. It's not the cleanest way, and it still could damage some stuff, but if you just let go of the cord versus blowing your own fuse, you're less likely to strand yourself. Of course, you might also make it so you can't charge the next time, depending on just how much too much power was flowing through the system. Let's go to the comments on this one. All right, so I've got this article in another from another provider. Oh, it's a bold claim. We'll look at that, I guess, next, because of where it loaded into. Ford F-150 Lightning owner discussed 10 things he dislikes after 5,300 miles. All right, here we go. Somebody got what they reserved. What? Yeah. Read the article. What? Dealer has to wait for a 12-volt battery. I know many EVs now use smaller ones than the standard stock for ICE cars, but I believe this particular dealership, which was one that did not sell the truck, simply didn't have anyone trained to service it and are waiting for Ford to send a tech. That makes sense. The dealer likely takes technical instruction from Ford. Few of these on the road. Fewer techs have seen one. Early generation, unexpected failure. Yeah, it could be that too. I'm not faulting the dealer that, in this case, here just find out whoever threw out the line about the 12-volt battery being the culprit is a little spurious. Yes. Swag follows because the failure is catastrophic. The real data is new, so the dealership is likely following a strict protocol required by Ford. Maybe. The downside is of getting this wrong at a local level prevents initiative. Yes. I have similar problem with Kia corporate slow walking and obvious repair. Okay, I'll give you that. I'm no tech, but in series would need to be fault and interrupt that this 12-volt battery may serve as it. What? Still doesn't mean you can't bypass it. I don't think they're saying the 12-volt battery is the culprit, just they have to install a new 12-volt battery. Yeah, that's why I said you don't need a new 12-volt battery. They just want one. None of the computers will turn on to give you any trouble codes, which, yeah, that makes sense. But you can find any number of compatible 12-volt batteries to do the diagnostic, including supplying external power. As the story went, the 12-volt system was still working when the vehicle was towed. Suppose it could have died after that. volts uses a lot of power. And recharge. That's me. Oops. VW charging system hates Fords. I wouldn't have believed it if it was Tesla. Oh, that's slightly humorous. Except that, as they pointed out earlier in the article, it did this to a Porsche, which is also VW, and it also did it to what was the other one that Kyle took in? I don't feel like going back up to find out. Must be a special part that has to be ordered from some exotic country. Not too much current, too much voltage. I could see. Yeah, too much voltage is usually the problem, not current. Electrify America can put out 800 volts, and the Lightning's battery is 400. I could see it blowing some emergency fuse if it goes too high. Yes, and at least on the Tesla, those fuses are explosive. So bang. Yes. Just looked at replace your battery videos for the Lightning, and its 12-volt battery is just a small lead acid battery. Yes, nothing special like Tesla's tiny lithium-ion 16-volt battery, not 12. Tesla still use lead. Yes, not all of them. Voltage does not blow a fuse. They're overcurrent protection devices. Maybe. EA charger doesn't control amperage. It controls voltage. More voltage, more current. Sort of. All right, that's enough of this. Let's move on to something else. Some bold claims, Cotton. The P19 Shorty trailers claim to extend the Ioniq 5's EPA range. Really? The company says the Ioniq 5 can cover more miles, towing the $10,000 P19 Shorty at 55 than its EPA rating of 256 miles. So I'm seeing two ways to do this. They're saying it's more aerodynamic than the car by itself, also overcoming the extra roller resistance, or it's got a battery and is extending the range. Let's see. Rear hitch receiver and 4-gallon road shower. Average design, blah. The aerodynamics. P19 Shorty hooked to the Ioniq 5 would theoretically cover longer distance. So how does this work? Is it camback? There it is on a Y. So maybe just cleans up the aerodynamics on a Ioniq. I don't see pictures of it with an Ioniq though. All right, moving on. Penske takes delivery of Freightliner E-Cascadia semi-trucks. Yeah, so this is what I was telling you about earlier about the Freightliner dropping their trucks just before, like, see, November 29th, just before the December 1st of the Tesla Semi. So Penske took 2 of their trucks in delivery, and let's see, let's find a little bit more about the delivery models because I'm only familiar with the prototypes, and prototypes don't equal production. Been testing them. Daimler 2018, Class 8. Penske's leasing them to customers. Daimler says the E-Cascadia has a standard range of 155 miles and a single drive long range of 230 miles. So it actually loses the drive motor when it gets that 230 miles. You can charge up to 80% in around 90 minutes. So instead of 70% in 30 minutes, it's at 80% in 90 minutes. Right now my mouse isn't clicking where I want it. There it goes. And its charging power is up to 180 kilowatts. So forget megawatt, 180 kilowatts. This thing can charge the same speed as my Model X, because my Model X, during this towing trip, the last towing trip, it actually hit 181 kilowatts. I was impressed because when I bought it, it was only supposed to do 120 kilowatts, and then it got upgraded to 150. And at some point, it got downgraded, and then it came back doing 170 kilowatts, and then it touched 181 kilowatts, 182 kilowatts for mere moments. But man, a 4-year-old vehicle with 80,000 miles, I liked that. And to find out that it can charge faster than a brand new semi truck that's not from the same manufacturer, I like that. It also has more power, way more power than this truck. The tandem drive, 425 horsepower or 317 kilowatts, or 470 horsepower and 350 kilowatts. I think mine is in the 400 and change kilowatts, while the Raven performance is somewhere north of 600 kilowatts, and the Plaid is 1020 horsepower. I don't know how many kilowatts. They don't have the same display on a Plaid, so I don't know what that is. You know what? I can do this though. 10, 20, 50, and 760 kilowatts. There you go. So somebody's sedan is more powerful than your truck by a long shot. But the thing is, it is built like a traditional semi, but with a battery instead. So it's got a much stronger frame to do something with the power it does have. It probably also has a lot of gears, just like the gas one. By gas, I mean diesel. No wonder they rushed to get this thing out ahead of time, because it was embarrassment. Here is their intro video. I'm going to mute it and turn on the. Let's check
innovation.
This is their what they call their video brochure. Like I say, electrify all the things, and with that short range, we're looking at, as you can see, the fact that it's got the glass windows in the back. There's nothing day cab about this, as Anders pointed out that there's no sleeping facilities. Definitely not on this one either. Let's see. Lee says hello. Hey, Lee. You can jump on if you want. I get the code in the chat. So I think it's a fair local solution. The disappointment came in that it was just days before the Tesla Semi, and they've been parading this thing around since 2018, which is not really an argument. I get it, because they've been parading the Tesla Semi around since 2017, and I don't know. A comment I made in, I don't know if it was in a private forum or just on Twitter or on somewhere on the web. I do like this got dual CCS charging. The point I made was that I don't understand why nobody's even close to the Tesla Semi in terms of performance or stats on their trucks. I mean, these are companies that have been making vehicles for a long time. In the passenger car field, we don't have the same spread. There's actually some vehicles out there more powerful than some of the Teslas out there, like the Porsche Taycan, and then well, it was before the Plaid came out, but everybody out there is a lot closer to the Tesla range and performance and battery life. And then when you get to the trucks, it's like they didn't even try. I'm not saying they didn't try. There's nobody in the same league, and I don't understand why. And that was my comment. And then so people's response was, "Well, the Tesla Semi is not out yet." Blah blah. But the Tesla Semi was 3 days from being handed over to the customers, so that's a stupid argument. So I don't know where they were going with that, and I don't have any credible answers or proposals as to why nobody's even close, except that they didn't want to. So here you can see it's got 2 CCS ports. Why? I don't know, because they just said it was only capable of 180. Oh, you know why? That makes perfect sense. If you're not at a station that can do more than 150, you'll need 2 of them to get to 180. There you go. And with such a small battery pack, their voltage probably can't handle the 800-volt charger until you get the 350 off of 300 kilowatt chargers. Yeah. So, like I said, electrify all the things, and more competition is good, but come on, truck makers, catch up to Tesla. I'd like to see something respectable like we see with the cars and the trucks. In fact, Tesla's truck isn't even out yet as far as the pickup truck, and so right now everybody beats the Cybertruck. But this is what we're looking at for Class 8 and Class 6. That's not Tesla. It's solid. It does a job. but we need true competition to keep everybody honest, to keep the prices where they need to be. And that ain't it, Chief. No. There's a prototype that I was much more familiar with. I kind of expected the numbers to come up from prototype to production. I was wrong. So I'm still fuzzy on what the heck happened here. But it looks like there was a publication that took a BZ4X, or as some people call it, the Busy 4, and the numbers didn't come even close to what the EPA said, or what Toyota tested on the EPA cycle and gave to the EPA said that the car should do. So let's take a look. So now Toyota is looking into it, and we'll see what that means. So they've launched an investigation into the findings of a road test conducted by Danish media, which shows that the BZ4X's range was significantly less than the WLTP estimate. So not even the EPA. Okay. So, but it was official. It just wasn't EPA. It's WLTP. This was true for both the two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive variants of the BZ4X. They're telling you what the BZ is. Production was halted earlier this year because the vehicle's wheels could fall off. They probably could. It hadn't happened to anybody that we know of. And then in the 5 months or so that it took them to find out how to keep the wheels on the car, they found an airbag problem and fixed that as well while the vehicles were grounded. So Danish Motoring Magazine FDM conducted a road test and the two-wheel drive and all-wheel drive variants, and listed LWLTP estimates of 504 kilometers or 313 miles for front-wheel drive and 461 kilometers or 286 miles for all-wheel drive. Wow, that's quite a spread. During the magazine's test, however, the two-wheel drive was only able to travel 246 kilometers or 153 miles before needing a charge, and the all-wheel drive needed to charge after 215 kilometers or 134 miles. This is a deviation of 51 and 53% from the stated range, respectively. Now, everybody knows the WLTP doesn't represent real world, but that's not the adjustment factor you use of 50 and 53%, 51 and 53%. It's more like up to 20%, 20 to 30% that you might call fudge factor or whatever. And I'm assuming that since this is a professional magazine, that they had, even though they didn't necessarily do it exactly the way the WLTP does it, they probably had a set, repeatable test that they could do. Like, hey, let's go this many this direction, let's go this many this direction, to cancel out the wind and terrain, as well as, so that their customers, if they were nerdy enough to actually go and redo it, they could. Having the BZ hit less than hey, baby. How's the moto? You want to say hi to everybody? Hello, everybody. Yeah. We're talking about the Toyota BZ4X. These researchers in this magazine, they took it out for a test, and it only got half of what it's supposed to get. Want me to put that thing on your head? You can take it off, aren't you? Aren't you? Oh, there it goes. Yoink! She doesn't like stuff on her head. Are you gonna eat it now? That's fine. Yeah. All right. So let's see. So Anders Tyson has noted that the Japanese automaker is aware of the test and the vehicle results. An investigation into the results is reportedly underway, although the press manager also noted the range discrepancy might be partly due to the BZ4X's buffer that is placed in the battery. No, you don't have a 50% buffer on your battery. Now we know famously that some Teslas require you to drive past 0 to get to the range, but most companies don't include you driving past 0 to get their stated range, especially not one like Toyota. And it's weird as heck that the Tesla does do it on those models where you have to drive past zero to get the range. But as we see, they're turning a leaf because a leaf, another electric car, because the semi got its range without having to even get 100% of its battery. Yeah, you got a scarf, headscarf. Oh, where are you walking to? Yeah. All right, baby. All right. What did you do to my notes? They went away. There they are. They're back. All right. Let's look at. All right. So we talked about the Toyota investigation. Let's. Oh wait, that one's the tweet. And then there's the real thing. So the tweet that I wanted to reference is not there anymore. Yeah. All right. So we got some good news for Ford. We've got some Tesla update notes. Got another Twitter link. So let's watch everything shrink down again. This new Apple mess. Oh, this one was actually pretty cool. So let's oh yeah. Let's copy the link. This one's not cars, but it is, green living, all that jazz that we talk about on here. You threw your scarf. Well, how can I get it if you got my hand locked up? You want to get it yourself? No, you don't? How's this? There you go. All right, so this one is not plant-based salmon. It's not wild or farmed. It's cultivated salmon. It's made from growing salmon cell by cell in a bioreactor, basically. Or at least that's how the chicken and cow-based ones work, anyway. There's a bioreactor. Made from growing salmon cell by cell, and it really blew my mind. It's so tasty and so much better than previous versions I've tried elsewhere. Thank you at Wild Type Foods for the eye-opening deliciousness. We're going to go on. I know that some of you guys that are into this already know where we're going next. But some of you that know me know that I'm a vegetarian. And it's not that the people say, oh, well, why do you eat meat substitutes if you're a veggie? Not that I don't think that animals are delicious. I just don't want to kill them. And I also don't like the environmental footprint of growing livestock. So that's why I don't do it. And why she doesn't do it, because she doesn't know what she's getting into yet. But, when she does, she can decide for herself. And if she wants to decide before 18, she can go murder her own animal and prepare it herself. Yeah, she tried to shut me up. You saw that? She put her hand on my mouth. It's like, no, that's enough, Daddy. Oh, yeah? Oh, don't touch the mouse. All right, so as I was saying, let's go on and talk about what I was going to talk about next with this. So this guy points out this is cool, but I'm curious to know what it takes from an energy grid and material input, potentially revolutionary, provided the process is efficient. Wild Type Foods. So they've actually responded since I found and put this in the notes. In this proof of concept phase, we're not yet evaluating our life cycle analysis. We know we can make a fishery, what we call production plants, that runs. I'm guessing they ran out of characters. Runs off alternative energy and uses very little water. But that's not how we've built our pilot facility. It's just designed for learning. I'm glad to see them address it directly, because there were other people explaining why it couldn't work sustainably for other manufacturers. Oh, you remember my headphones? Yeah. Hi. You want to say hi to everybody, Moto? It's a bigger camera. You can actually fit in it, unlike the other one. See? Say hi up here. Look. Hi. Wave hi. She's used to the camera being a little bit lower to the screen. All right, so let's see. I appreciate your curiosity. We believe this can be a super green technology, especially when you consider the carbon footprint of commercial fishing. Once you factor in the deforestation of seagrass meadows, like recent nature study found. Okay, so they only did it in 2 tweets. Huh? I'm hoping a company starts for cultured leather products soon. Actually, there is artificial leather that looks really good and really compelling. Uh, that's being made from like mango skins and stuff, pineapple skins. It's pretty good. There's several companies doing that with leather. Huge game changer. Fur. I don't know if anybody's doing fur yet, but they are doing leather. I haven't been paying close enough attention how far this field has grown. Apparently. Check out material NOV for animal-free materials. How long before this hits grocery stores and sushi restaurants? Follow-up question: will people be ready to accept it if at profitable scale? I would be right back into it. Other than I would have to look and see because there are health benefits to being meat free as well. So it depends on like bacon. Bacon people are always like, oh, it did take me a while to get over missing bacon, but now bacon doesn't smell good to me. Does not smell good. But that would be one I would not be able to add back for health reasons. But stuff like salmon, I love salmon and I miss it, so I am excited for that. They don't have any updates to share. Selman, Selman, because it's made Cell by Cell, and this discusses this is a great name. How does it cook? It should cook the same. Our salmon seku is intended to be enjoyed raw. We made it for sushi and poke restaurants, but we're always cooking up something new, and we're excited to see new products as soon as available. All right. Would there be downsides to baking it compared to wild salmon, or is it just your recommendation based on structure, fat level, etc.? When you cook our flagship sushi product, it doesn't have the same flaky texture as conventional salmon. It's very early days for cellular agriculture, and our first product won't be able to do everything we want it to do. Appreciate the answer. Curious what it looks like while growing, like a fish or like a fillet, or perhaps like this. And put a link to some computational photography, not photography, but basically they asked an AI what it looks like for. They asked an AI engine to recreate a salmon swimming down a river, and here's what it guessed it would look like. So, the salmon, the product, not salmon, the fish, swimming down a river. If this could be made at scale, it would really disrupt the salmon aquaculture industry, which is really nothing more than a concentration cap for fish. Somebody else had pointed out that that the amount of resources used by the salmon farms and the wild salmon was high. Less than this right now, but still super high. As a retired biochemist who grew here's what the guys. The retired biochemist who grew human cells, the reagents required to maintain salmon cells is so carbon and resource intensive, it's folly to progress with this process. We even had to use bovine serum for New Zealand to grow our cells and a water purity that is beyond mind-blowing. Or that is mind-blowing. Don't eat that. She's trying to eat my headphone cord if you can't see off screen there. Mommy brought you in with no toys? Here. How about this bee? You want your bee? Take this. Look on my cord. Let go. Otto, let go, please. Thank you. Here, play with your bee. There you go. All right, so I assume much of it is automated, being done commercially. Energy can be sourced renewably. The rest is opportunity cost versus sustainability, and that's what they said when they responded. It's all about resistance to infection and the ability of the cells we use not to mutate and removing parts of the genome we trick to generate usable cells. There was somebody else in here I marked that explained how many resources because you have to feed the fish farms, and so they actually feed other fish to the fish farms. All right, so I'll give us a couple more scrolls, and if I don't see it, we will move on. It has fat cells in it. Yes. We worked hard on our cell scaffold integration, and the amazing white banding of which is not just made of fat in natural salmon is a product of how well our salmon cells grow within our scaffolds. Yeah, it does look really good. All right, so I don't see the one that talked about how much food a salmon farm eats. Let's go back to cars. So Ford has produced more than 150,000 Mach-E's to date. Congratulations, Ford. I think it's the same thing Elon said to them. I like how he doesn't down talk to the other manufacturers if they're not being jerks. He's always like, "Hey, congratulations! Hey, I'll be glad to help with this," or blah blah blah. So the automaker aims to scale EV production to a rate of 600,000 per year by late next year, and over 2 million annually by 2026. I wish them luck. It's a solid product. I don't know why people are sad, or what's funny or surprising about it. Why did they blur out the Mexican flag in the top left of the banner? Did they? Did they really? They did. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's sad. Oh, yes. Why did they do this? Good eye. It's a stylized flag description. This depiction flapping wildly in the wind to the point of ripping the end. Their version of fast. But why not a horse or the logo? I'm sure that's the case. I don't know. For folks that are familiar with Mexico, is that a thing? Like, is that not actually blurred? Did they print it that way? I think the first guy is right. Again, not knowing Mexican culture well enough to know why you'd let your flag look like that. So symbol of American free spirit is really Mexican. Yes, we know this. Better than nothing. 150K is a good number. Having purchased almost 20 new vehicles in the last 48 years, I will choose a vehicle assembled in Mexico over other North American plants any day of the week. Texas cowboy culture was obtained from Mexico when they lost their dumb war. The U.S. did actually declare war back in those days. Good point. Yeah, we did. I don't believe anybody watched Sandy's Mach-E Teardown would even consider buying one. It's horrible. No, it's not horrible. It's just not. He found stuff that was good and stuff that wasn't good. A lot of stuff that was, I mean, not good as in bad, but like not profitable. Like over-engineered and overdone. All right, let's move on. Yes, sweetie. Yeah. 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 You having fun? Pick your toy up for you. Oh, you don't want to sit down? I don't know why you like to stand so much. There you go. You got it. All right. So Tesla adds new features to Sentry Mode with 2022.44.2. That's my headphone, not a grab rail. All right. So you can now customize Sentry Mode so that it works off of just being broken into instead of just using the cameras and sensors. You can set the clip length that it records, and the third thing? Yeah, there was a third thing. I don't remember what it was. Seriously. Camera-based detection. You can set the clip length, and they moved the live view via the app. The One Century mode is on. It's on the homepage of the app instead of buried in the menu. And then they talked about the ability to perhaps view the interior. Oh, you sleepy? Here, come up here. I'll rock you. Oh. All right, moving on. I mentioned Caltrans had ordered 330 Model 3s from Tesla. I believe it's 330. They have 54 RAV4 Primes, which are plug-in hybrids. They have 15 Chevy Bolts, 11 Leafs, and one Ford F-150 Lightning electric gas pickup truck. But now they have they placed their largest EV order yet. The agency told Drive Tesla Canada that it placed an order for 399 Model 3 Tesla vehicles. 399. Good gracious. So at a purchase price of more than $18 million, making the previously unannounced deal the largest known EV fleet fleet order from the U.S. government department at either the federal or state level. Caltrans has already reportedly received the first 236 Model 3s out of the 300. That's where the 30 came from. The first 236 have been already received out of the 399 that they ordered. That's pretty cool. All right. Moving on. Oh, this one's Facebook, so I gotta. Oh no, I found it on Facebook. Eh. Yeah. Oh yeah. Why are you so active today? And why are you so mad at my earmuffs? You don't like me wearing a mask. You don't like me wearing headphones. Are you a techno-Luddite? I know you're not, because you're always trying to eat the phone. All right, so let's switch to this article here. So the folks at the Charin Group. Ow. So Charin, of which Tesla is one of the 155 core members, had an unsolicited response to Tesla's announcement of NACS, and seems like sour grapes. Oh, you trying to do something better than us, huh? Let's take a look here. They put out a press release, and Tom points out that it took a couple of weeks, but we now have Charin's response. In a joint statement, Charin EV and Charin North America, which clearly was done without consulting Tesla because, they're a member and they would just say, no, we don't want to say this. The North America chapter made it very clear that there's already a universal standard. It's CCS. Yeah, our thing. and to move to another standard now would disrupt the industry and delay the transition to electrification. Oh, yeah, because if you're not using us, you're not using anything, which is bogus and BS. As Tesla pointed out when they did theirs, most of the vehicles on the road today use the NACS, and most of the stations out there are NACS. And so Charin says some crap about how there are more J1772 and CCS ports combined. Well, you can't count J1772 because the J1772 only car can't use CCS, whereas all cars with NACS can DC fast charge. Now, doesn't mean you bought the option, but the hardware is there for all the cars that have NACS to DC fast charge. And of those AC-only cars, the port still fits. Anyway, let's continue before I get lost in the weeds as we pick this thing apart. Charon says that, or Charon was part of 2015, the purpose of, so their whole thing, they were formed after the port was made, after the NACS port was made. Remember, NACS had to be ready for 2012, 2012 model year Model S. And they only do DC charging. They don't do AC charging. Let's see. Relationship didn't buy Musk & Co. any subtlety in the association's response. We strongly encourage Tesla as a member to work within Sharon's membership base, standards organizations, and others to accelerate the adoption of a fully interoperable EV charging solution to transition to electric vehicles more quickly. They're already all EV over at Tesla. Ecosystem-driven collaboration is a proven method to create true standards accepted and adopted by a multitude of stakeholders, such as stakeholders, as well as a testing and conformance infrastructure to guarantee interoperability in the field. Well, that's not working out too well if you look at Electrified America, baby. All your testing is clearly not working. And then when you look at the NACS, they have their own testing requirements and testing procedures, and they seem pretty straightforward and easy to follow. Anyway, let's continue. Where were we? This is how Charon, an inclusive industry worldwide coalition representing nearly 300 e-mobility stakeholders, seeks to accelerate the e-mobility market in North America. Signed, the Charon Association. Sour grapes, yeah. I mean, if any of that stuff they were saying was like true, like truly true, and not just like, why do you got to go and be different? Charon also listed some reasons to stick with the J1772 connector for AC and CCS for DC. CCS is already used in over 50 passenger vehicle models. So freaking what? If there are 50 models and they sell 100,000 cars, and then there's 4 or 5 other models and they sell 2.2 million cars, David, why should that matter? How many there are if they don't amount to a hill of beans? Andrew says CCS1 in US and CCS2 in Europe. Absolutely. CCS2 in Europe is fine because it's not the best, but I mean, it's what you got, and it's required by law thanks to Germany. The thing is, your Type 2 connector can do 3-phase charging. None of our North American chargers can do 3-phase charging because we don't expose 3-phase to the endpoint like that. And I say none. There are a few handfuls of old charging stations that can do 3-phase charging deployed in the US. I don't know if they're still installed. Every now and then I go back to some old stations and see them just ripped out of the ground and not replaced, or ripped out of the ground and replaced with some new stuff. None of the current stuff can do 3-phase charging because we aren't set up that way at the charge points. But the reason I'm understanding that is because there's a 32 amp per leg limit, and they needed a 3-phase to get around that. But NACS and J1772, they can't do 3-phase. And yes, we do have 3-phase run to many of our DC chargers, but that's not 3-phase to the car. And so you can just use two lugs for that. Yeah. All right, so continuing on. Right, it's their whole thing about it's a world standard is BS because it's 2 different plugs already for the whole world. And China's got their own. So North America, Japan, South Korea, who knows wherever else. And then Europe is all on CCS2 and Type 2, as well as Oz. So Australia, New Zealand, everybody down there is using Type 2 and CCS Type 2. Yeah, that's right, baby. So their argument is bogus. CCS plugs already outnumber Tesla superchargers, 61,000 to 40,000 worldwide. Worldwide doesn't freaking matter. They're not the same plug. CCS2 is not the same as CCS1, and a CCS1 car can't use a CCS2 port, and we're not shipping our cars back and forth overseas. And it only matters if you are able to order in bulk, which you can't because they're 2 different connectors. Anyway, continuing on. In North America, there are 18,880 CCS connectors compared to 18,405 Tesla superchargers. Let's go over to supercharge.info real quick, because it sounds like they're comparing the number of supercharger locations to the number of CCS plugs. CCS is installed in pairs usually, or 4 or 8 sometimes. But Tesla superchargers no longer are installed in anything less than 6, except in rare circumstances. So let's go over, let's open a new window so I don't lose my place. And let's go over to Tesla supercharge.info. All right, so let's scroll this over here. Well, I don't want it big like that. We'll share this tab instead. All right, so in any region, any country. Let's go to North America, since that's what they claim to be doing. Any country. And this is, they're saying North America, but we can't forget that South Korea and Japan are using this as well. So to not include them in your numbers is disingenuous. All right, so these are the changes. I don't really care about the changes. Let's look at the data or the charts. Superchargers by region. Open count, North America is blue. At the end of 2022, 1,771. Okay, so they are comparing plugs to plugs. But when you look at how much faster a supercharger deploys than, I mean, look at the one of the stations that's opening up in California. 94 new stalls over in, was that Harris Ranch? Come on. When have you seen a 94 stall CCS Electrify America open up anywhere? Never. Never. You're lucky to get 20. That's on December 2nd. There were 1,771 for North America. Stop moving my hand, baby. All right, so 1,771 for Europe. And Asia. See, the problem with Asia is it includes, because it's Asia Pacific, it includes also Australia and New Zealand, who use Type 2. So I can't really use that to break it out. Plus, in Japan, Charin Group doesn't even stand a chance because the Chatamo Group owns Japan. All right, let's go back to their stupid response that nobody asked for. Of course, that would be what they say about NACS. Nobody asked for that either, except all the customers and Aptera and several others. Let's see. All right, so 18,405 Tesla superchargers to 18,880 CCS connectors. But don't forget, when Tesla announced this, most of their members had agreed to put, I don't want to say most, but several members, they weren't named, agreed to put the NACS port directly on their chargers. So you can't just compare superchargers anymore either, because look at EVgo. They already had some NACS ports on some of their stations. And so they're probably clearly going to be one of the ones that did it everywhere. Plus whoever else that was unnamed. Come on now. So all of these logical fallacies in their argument and bad arguments altogether. There are 178,926 public J1772 connectors compared to 15,529 Tesla destination chargers. My Tesla destination charger isn't in the list. So, okay, I'll give them this. They're saying only public chargers. Okay, fine. But are you comparing? They probably are comparing the destination charger ports. But then they also have to look at the Tesla destination charger ports. Some of them are J1772. So that also messes up their numbers. And it doesn't matter because you're the DC charging group. And 1772 doesn't charge DC anywhere. Tesla Type 2 chargers can charge DC, and they still do that on older Model S and Model X. But a regular J1772 never charges in DC. Mommy's here. Bye-bye. Oh, you didn't want that. That's fine. Bye-bye, baby. Love you. Bye-bye. Anyway, so yeah, so I can give you the ports, but don't forget that a lot of these are broken, private, not really private, but like they're listed as public, but they aren't really public. They're like, only for use of this hospital, only for the police cars, etc., etc. Um, J72 are not variable or VVS. What is VVS? Oh, CCS. Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Say 1772 is not CCS, and these are the CCS people, so they don't get to say that. It doesn't matter what J1772 connectors are out there. Also, when you consider that every NECS equipped car comes with an adapter to take J1772, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's completely irrelevant to your argument about why your DC charging is better, which it's not, because it's lower capabilities, more expensive, bulkier, thicker cables, and always broken. Okay, not always, but come on, seriously. Like whenever you watch these people like Rich Rebuilds and anyone else doing a coast to coast or across the country or whatever drive, they're always saying it's broken. It's broken. And then they come on with this other argument, which is the same as the first one about, it's overused in 50 passenger cars, which we just talked about doesn't matter. Right here, the 50 passenger cars. They go on to say Audi, BMW, Daimler, Ford Motor Company, General Motors, Honda, Hyundai, Kia, Lucid, Lotus, Mazda, man shouldn't count because that's not a passenger car, that's a truck. Mercedes-Benz, Navistar also shouldn't count because that's a truck. New Flyer, also a truck. Nikola, a truck. Nissan, PSA Group, Proterra, a freaking bus. Renault, Rivian, Scania, truck. Stellantis, Subaru, Suzuki, Tata Motors, Tesla, yes, you too. Toyota, Volvo, Volkswagen, all have invested and agreed to use CCS standard. Yes. But just because they've agreed to use it doesn't mean they have to be stuck with something terrible because something better came along. We agreed we weren't going to switch. Oh no, come on. So the NACS has challenges. Charon pointed out that NACS will still have to pass some of the established standardization process via standards bodies, including ISO, IEC, and or SAE. This is all true, and Tesla, when they announced it, said they had already submitted it. What's up, Clayton? DJ Clay, I am ranting about NACS versus CCS right now. But I'll get back to the news after I get done expressing my disgust at their poor argument for why they shouldn't be left in the dust. And I say unsolicited. Yes, NACS was also unsolicited by them, but they were customers and other manufacturers that had asked for it. So it makes sense that Tesla would release it after so many people asking for so long. And for those of you just tuning in, NACS is what we used to call the Tesla connector. This thing right here, including its new version that we just found out about with the announcement of NACS and with the launch of Tesla Semi, the 1,000 volt connection for 1 megawatt plus charging, as well as AC charging. All right, so yes, they'll have to pass certification, but they've applied for certification. It also pointed out that we must acknowledge the challenges of changing the existing standards, such as market disruption. Creating a standards proposal will disrupt the EV industry by causing companies to divert energy and resources towards integrating and implementing another standard into vehicles and chargers, which typically have a product development cycle of 3 to 6 years. So what? Oh no, they're looking at the thing that's not us. That's the problem. It's not that they're going to make more fossils. It's not like they're going to sit on their laurels, because there's another article that we're probably not even going to touch on about Mazda putting more money into EVs finally after the fact. And I say that because every time the Mazda 100-mile car comes out, I dogpile and make fun of it because they could do better. Anyway, policy and regulation disruption. Creating an additional standard proposal will likely disrupt existing regulations and policy discussions and delay important EV charging infrastructure decisions and investment at local, state, and federal levels. Decision makers should not divert EV charging infrastructure funding for non-industry standard charging systems. That last part, yeah, okay, yeah. If it's not open to everybody, then yeah, don't give them any money. But now it's open to everybody, so it may not be a true standard, but it's a de facto standard because Tesla and Aptera and whoever else is using it right now. And the whole thing about, oh, you're going to give them decision fatigue, blah blah blah. If EVgo can add a plug and everybody else can just add a plug, you're not diverting anything. All they have to decide is how much money they have to spend on a station, and if it's got interchangeable handles and cables, so that way they can decide that they are not having to waste the money on the infrastructure. They can buy the chargers, and they can say we need each charger to handle 4 cars. Each charger needs to handle 1 car. Each charger needs to handle 2 cars, and we need to be able to swap the handles and protocols. That's all they have to say. There's no confusion in this. There need not be confusion. Come on, Charon, don't be stupid. All right, so the pathway to standardization. Charon supports a rigorous peer review process applied to the developments of standards such as ISO, IEC, and SAC, which Tesla applied for. The current CCS standard, including connectors and related communications protocols, the connectors, whatever. The protocols are the same protocols Tesla's using in NACS. Is it true international standard? No, it's not, because you use different plugs on different continents. But other than that, yeah, sure. But they're implying that it's one thing around the world. It's not one freaking thing around the world. It is 2, and to say it's not is a lie. Any newly introduced idea, including a mechanical improvement to existing CCS connector design, would have to follow the same process before the industry can safely adopt it. And this right here is like they're proving their argument is stupid, because the biggest problem right now with CCS and J1772 in public is those stupid connectors. They break all the time, and what happens is if the system is checking that it's intact, now it goes down because somebody was yanking on the handle. Or worse, if it doesn't check, now it's a danger because you've got 800 volts at however many hundreds of amps. Somebody can just snatch it out of a charge port, and the arcing of DC arcing of that is deadly, potentially deadly. So their argument is, oh well, even to fix our existing garbage is going to be hard. How is that a good argument for keeping your stuff? If you're slow and big and unflexible, that's not a good thing. There's a significant chance that what is ultimately approved in standards development process may not align with what is currently proposed by Tesla. Yeah, because people like you are fighting it. You know what? NACS is royalty free. Is CCS royalty free? Let's open up a new window and see. I'm getting a lot of like Christian whatever. Let me type in their whole name, combined charging system. All right, so Shutterstock has some royalty-free imaging, and all right, they take me to a Wikipedia article. Let's go to this together, and then we'll search for royalty. It doesn't appear anywhere in the article. Fee does, but that's for Wikipedia and fields. Cost. Cost of a dual protocol station is only 5% more. So right there, their whole, and most of them already have some dual protocols because you got CCS combined with Chatamo. Let's see. Got another cost here. 350 kilowatts at a cost of 200,000 unit, $220,000 each, or 200,000 euros each. So these things are expensive. So even if there isn't a royalty, that right there tells you some of where they're freaking out about. But also when you consider that a lot of the members are non-Tesla members, both on the charging and vehicle side, so that's probably part of it. And again, with the trucks, they threw in all those trucks to make the list seem longer. The trucks are going to be using either NACS or MCS, and MCS has a completely different plug than CCS. Obviously, these low power trucks, like we talked about from Freightliner, they can use whatever because they don't need megawatt charging. But the real trucks, the long distance high load trucks, like the Tesla Semi, are going to need NACS or MCS. And MCS is a different plug. It's based on CCS, yes, but it doesn't fit a CCS plug, and it doesn't have provision for AC at all. Or at least CCS, you can claim that you're using the J1772 at the top. Okay, but you can't do that with MCS, so you're going to need another port on the truck. So you're going to need 2 ports, or some kind of low power DC converter, which is just going to add a lot of cost. All right, so let's see. All right, there's 2 of 3. Different power limits and cost indicators over time. All right, so here's what we have in North America. Combo 1. J772 on the top and DC on the bottom. It's got L1, neutral, and then PE. And not all the ports are connected on either of them for CCS because you can save money by not connecting all the pins. And then here's the Type 2 connector. It's more robust. It's bigger. Like even the displayed approximately the scale. Even your DC buses are bigger over there. So yes, Type 2 is better all around, but they're never going to use it here because we don't need 3-phase and all that crap that they were just talking about, changing the connector. And now you got to change everything, including the Teslas, to get Type 2 over here, and it's still not as capable as NACS. Let's see. Mating table for Type 1 combo coupler, AC charging single phase. Type 1 combo 1 does not mate. Type 1 combo. Oh, okay. So if you have a CCS plug on a J1770 car, it doesn't work. Same in Europe. Type 2 car with a CCS plug doesn't work, but it does work the other way around. You can do Type 1 or Type 2 into the CCS. Not interchangeably, but in the same region. So let's go back to me complaining about their crap. I didn't find a cost on that at all. While I'm here, let me go check one more place. All right, so instead of royalties, I'm gonna type in fees. Open ECU, combined charging system with Simulink. Let's see what this is. They might be as open as NACS, but they're not as easy to get as NACS. You know what? I know an exactly easy way to find out. Let's go to Charon. Here's their stupid press release. Let's see if I can't easily download the thing from their page. Let's share this tab instead. So here's them complaining. Let's go to the FAQ. Please contact us for further questions. Charging types, how they differ. All right, so say I want to build a car right now. How do I get your garbage? Communication, technical questions. What's power line? Do you support? All right, fine. Let's events, news, technology, automatic connection devices, charging map, performance testing. They probably make you pay for testing. That's probably a good place to make some money right there. Charin test laboratories and improved systems, hardware and software, and power, blah, blah, blah. All right, so we've got certificate number, the TerraGen 3 by ABB. You can use these laboratories, these two. Okay. There's where you get some of your money. Now, let's see what else we got. So MCS we talked about. I'm fine with. I like MCS. It's actually technically good. I like how that first vehicle was a Tesla. None of these cars are going to use it because this is for trucks and buses. Here's how to do the layout. Single conductive plug, max of 1250 volts and 3000 amps. Touch safe, one handle, adheres to ADA and OSHA. Like I said, I like MCS, MCS3. But that's not what we're talking about here. Check out our newest paper. Plug and charge. Vehicle to grid. All right, so I'm still not seeing a place where I can download the daggum thing yet. How do I download the thing? Do I have to be a member to download it? Because being a member surely isn't free. So you'll see the point of this in a minute, of me wasting time going around the website trying to download the schematics for their port. See a lot of news. I'm not seeing anything about details. Oh, hey, give us your information. Yeah. Okay, so now I want to join NC. I want to put NACS on my car. Okay. So I go to this Tesla downloads page, right? It's already anchored to NACS, North American Charging Standard. All right. Here's my technical specifications right here. Right to the PDF. They didn't ask me an email. They didn't give me a contact. They didn't charge me. I can right here. I can implement this thing right now. All right, so that's the technical overview, right? All right, so here's how I do AC and DC pin sharing because, all right, we're using one set of pins. How do I do it? Oh, everything's right here. It's free. Okay. All right. How do I make one? All right, so I've got my data sheets right here, and I've got my CAD drawings right here. All right, so we're talking about DC. So let's look at the DC data sheet. Everything I need right here, 500 volts, 1000 volts, right here. Done. I didn't spend 15 minutes rolling around a website to get the hard sell on a daggum whatever. I don't have to be a member. Let's go back to their argument here. Close this. All right, so what's best for EV adoption in the long run? This is coming from Tom again. While switching to NACS would undoubtedly cause initial problems and likely set back electrification for a couple of years, it may still be the right move. Yeah, and as we talked about with some of the nerds, you can change the ports out, just swap them from CCS to NACS, and you can get your local shop to do that for you once there's a service available for them to just buy the kit. Smaller, lighter, easy to use, and is overall much more elegant solution. No need for a rocker switch tab that locks the connector to the vehicle, which is a weak point on both J1772 and CCS. These tabs frequently snap off and create a charging hazard because without the tab, the connector can be unplugged hot while current is flowing through it. However, it's difficult to imagine any of the established brands switching to NACS. Aptera has already announced it. For the established brands, I think the only way to incorporate NACS would be to add it to the vehicle as an additional port instead of replacing J1772 and CCS. That way the owners would have the ability to charge anywhere, provided that Tesla then allowed non-Tesla EVs with NACS to use superchargers, which Elon tweeted this morning that is coming even to North America, which we already knew, but now it's official. Something that they haven't agreed to do yet at the time of the writing of the article, but they have now. We'll monitor this topic. It's far from settled. Please leave your thoughts in the comment section. Full press release from Charon. So, I'm done being annoyed at Charon and their stretches and logical fallacies. CCS is such a frumpy, clumpy design. It's an American thing. As a longtime white-collar worker, I was always amazed at how nice the Japanese copiers were compared to clunky blocks that Xerox put out. Tesla charger is also an American thing, and quite nice, but I guess only us Tesla owners really get them. Possibly. I think the EU forced them to adopt CCS like Apple's being forced to adopt USB-C. Yes, but at least USB-C doesn't suck. And over there, CCS is based on your Type 2. Your Type 2 is good, and your CCS2 is better than our CCS1. So it's a workable solution, but they're going to run out eventually. They're going to need to do something to make it do megawatt charging. It doesn't do megawatt charging today. Not forced to, but they'll miss out on the hundreds of millions the EU are spending on charging incentives. No, they're forced to. It's a law. If they use CCS like all the others and give everybody access, then they get more funds to build more chargers. This is true too. USB-C is forced, on the other hand, with a common charger standard, there'll be much less chargers sold and hundreds of tons of electronic waste saved. Yeah, but we're not throwing away our cars for the ports. We might throw away the ports for these early adopters, but you can probably recycle them. They're plastic and high-grade metal. Universal connector may be an advantage when it comes to vehicle to grid or home later on, which NACS does. So they have a CCS connector, but I'm sure they could make a similar box to work with the Tesla. Yep. All right, so let's move on to stuff that's not me ranting at disingenuous jerks. My note on the notebook was, nobody asked you. I think I did touch on that. Oh, another Twitter link. Where are we going? General Motors owned Cruise is seeking DMV approval to test shuttles without a steering wheel in San Francisco, according to the Wall Street Journal. That's kind of cool. So these are what our friend Terry calls the bread boxes. Let's copy a link to the tweet, close this garbage down, and replace what I'm sharing on screen with that. There we are. So these, like I said, are the bread boxes. They're just these square people pods, and Cruise has requested DMV approval to use them. There you go. The Opel Astra has debuted 2 flavors with 248-mile range. More than that truck. Sharing the all-electric powertrain with the Peugeot E308, the Astra Electric is available as a hatchback and a sports tourer wagon. These are some slick-looking cars. There you go, Robert Williams. Some Opels for you. I like them. And let's see here. What's next? Got a Tesla recall. Another Twitter. Oh, I got to stop doing this. Why? Oh, that's why. So this one's coming from Drive Tesla Canada. It's a set of tweets. Let me bring these up here. I don't know why it's not an article. Usually Drive Tesla Canada does articles. All right, where am I sharing? Here, the Opel. Let's replace the Opel with this. So Tesla Brandenburg is now, which is the Tesla Gigafactory, is now the largest industrial employer in Brandenburg. There you go. Congrats to you guys. They're complaining that the Tesla font is not centered on the tunnel, but it's probably fine. I bet you if you zoom out of this picture, it's probably like left aligned to the whole arch, which would make it just fine. Rather than, you don't need to center it in that case if it's a design decision like that. But if it were meant to be centered, it's just not that. Yeah, I agree. But again, the important part is all the jobs they're bringing. All right, Motor Trend. We talked about the discount for the Model 3 and Model Y. I think this might be Star Shield. Yes, it is. Oh, some crash tests. You know, I love me some crash tests. All right, let's see. I've got another Twitter link. I don't know where it goes. Let's find out together. Just because I don't want it flashing my screen around now that Apple's got this stage spotlight, whatever. All right, so Inside EVs had an article saying Hyundai Ioniq 5 sales decreased to the lowest level since January. And Skylar says that it needs more range, and the numbers will increase again. Dave says, no, it's a clickbait headline. Sales are down because there's an 18-month backlog in production because everyone wants them. Dealers are turning away sales because they can't order anymore. So this is what myself and Georgia keep telling you about, paying attention to what people are saying, where they're basing their stuff, and what their motives are. Their motive was to get you to read their article. The reality is that people just can't get enough of them because they don't make enough of them. All right, let's close this tweet. And Sharon's page. And we'll share this tab instead. So now we're looking at Tesla software rolls out a software update to 435,000 cars in China to address a recall. So in this case, the taillights weren't doing what they were supposed to do all the time. And they did a software update, so they do the right thing all the time. There we go. But even in China, just like in the US and Europe, these stupid recalls, they don't. All right, and then we're going to bring it back. Okay, I hear myself now. Is it still working? Check, 1, 2, 1, 2, check. Yeah, it's super quiet though. Huh. Let me go back over here and manually bump my volume up a little bit. Okay, so as I was saying into the void, Tesla didn't have a choice with their connector. They had to come out now for 2012, and they had to have something to recharge the car at home with, which later became J1772, but they already had NECS. And then they also had to come up with a DC fast charge so you could take road trips with the car. They didn't sell it as road trippable, but they already had something in plan, and they only wanted one connector in their car, so they did that. And so after J1772 came out, later on they then came out with CCS, but it was way too late by then, and they weren't going to put a CHAdeMO board on the car because that thing is huge, and so it wasn't that they were being malicious or contrarian or anything like that. It was literally them trying to stay in business, and they couldn't wait for the folks who were pulling back their approval on J1772 with excuse after excuse. I guess I can come up a little bit higher. How's this? Sound check. So they had to wait on the folks who were coming up with excuses to actually get J1772 to come out, and it came out as they were launching the car. So each car since then, new and used from Tesla, has come with the J1772 adapter. So they conform to the standards, but I don't know why they took so long to do this open sharing situation, because as Sharon pointed out, now they are a handful of connectors behind on the DC deployment in North America, but they are far ahead in the number of deployed cars, and it's a better connector. It's tested against dropping it on the ground. It doesn't have any moving parts, so you don't have to worry about somebody breaking the pin off. If anybody does break the pin off, they broke it on their own car, so they haven't affected your other customers. But we'll see how it goes. And I don't know where you heard on this, but this was another software recall that, like I said, as Porsche and Ford and Tesla time and time again, even in China, they don't have any proper mechanism for dealing with these new age recalls that are just software updates. I understand you need to notify people, but you're wasting postage, you're wasting emissions of getting those mailed out to all the people, especially when you mail it out to somebody who already took the update before you put it in the mail in the first place, or even printed them. And we need a new solution for these notices. And then we still need to tell the customers, hey, something went wrong, something was fixed, here's how it handled. But the way we do it isn't the same as your car is going to catch fire if you push the brake 3 times in a row and turn the blinker 8 times to the left, and then use these brand tires. I'm making something up absurd that hopefully has never happened before. Kind of like you put too many keys on your key ring, and now the car is going to shut off in the middle of the road. That one's real. It was at a dealership I was working at. Not a dealership, but I was at a dealership of that brand when it came through. And the recall was, bring it into your dealership, and we'll look and see how many keys you have, see if they're too heavy. That one needed to be done, but it was weird. Or in the case of all these fires with the Asian BMWs, the 12 volts just weren't good on the fossils, and those are things where you need to bring the car in, and it needs a massive letter campaign, etc., etc. But or the Mercedes, don't drive this. They sent their the letter out. Don't drive this SUV. We'll come get it from you. Here's the loaner, and then we'll bring it back when it's ready. That's a traditional recall, and that's worth all the rigmarole. I'm not saying that this isn't important, but we need to come up with a solution for, hey, push the update button on your Mach-E, please, or hey, plug in this USB stick on your Volkswagen, please, or hey, stop ignoring the yellow clock on your Tesla and push the go button because your family safety is at risk. And again, if everybody's already done the update, we don't need to mail it. So even in China, we still have that same problem. So let's get something more fun-ish. Canoe has a light army tactical vehicle, and the first driver review is the mil-spec Lifestyle is going to Motor Trend here. That's one cool looking truck. think it was Dan who shared the spy shot of this with us last week or the week before. So unlike the Joint Light Tactical Vehicle Program, I don't know. I just want to look at the pictures. This thing is cool. No sound or heat signature. So how does it drive? It's 2-motor all-wheel drive powertrain, more than doubles the output. Nice. How does an electric tactical vehicle compare to a diesel? Driven almost exactly 2 years apart, we can confirm the 2-motor, 600 horsepower, 600 foot-pound canoe feels way quicker than the 275 horsepower, 420 foot-pound diesel GM. Our canoe test drive was completely on pavement and the ISV drive off-road, but the ZR2's off-road competition history suggests it may be better equipped for high-speed Baja-style bashing. Will the Army bite? Classified. Base price. 180 miles range combined. They don't need to rate it for EPA because it's not on sale to the public. Pending approval of the Army for military use. That's kind of cool. All right, next. That's Star Shield, so we can skip it. Crash tests. Polestar 2. Continues Volvo's tradition of safety with perfect Polestar 2 NCAP rating. Front lower load path right here. Looks good. Inner side airbags. I was hoping there'd be a video so we could talk about the automation like we do when we watch the videos. Jackhead points out that 5-star isn't a perfect rating. That would constitute the highest possible score in every test, which didn't happen. Fair enough. And that's why Tesla always points out the way they did. Additionally, Polestar announced it would equip the 2023 Polestar 2 with a heat pump, which became popular in 2020 as Tesla equipped it in Model Y builds. Yes. Nissan did it first with the Nissan Leaf. Polestar 2 has had a heat pump and as an option ever since start, which became popular in 2020 as Tesla equipped it in Model Y builds. Really? Heat pumps were in EVs long before that. Our very first EV had a heat pump. We had a second-hand one too. Our third, we're now in 2020. And of course, the fourth we got this year. Yeah. 1 to 2 other EVs having heat pumps before Tesla, and Polestar 2 came out at the same time as Tesla as an option. It wasn't standard. So I think that might be what they're saying is it's standard now. I have a friend who almost got a Polestar 2, and it's just about to be ordered, and for some reason it became clear that to get the heat pump, you needed a plus pack. That bounced the price a lot, and then it became another car instead. But that was how a normal heat pump already was back then, and it's still in a car. It's supposed to be in the standard package. Everything else is strange. I think the Polestar 2 was launched in late 2019 or was early 2022. First EV we got 6 years ago had a heat pump as standard. Makes all the difference in cold climate. I think it was still an option on the Nissan, but if you got the right trim level, it was standard. But it wasn't like the Polestar where they have like this option feature tree. Like it's almost as bad as the way GM does their stuff, but at least with GM you could usually combine these options the way you want if you do a custom order. Yeah, so I was looking at some of the ways of Polestar, and I was like, too confusing. All right, so I had to get 100% in all 4 categories to get a perfect score, which it did not. Semantics, but okay, so it was safe, but it's not as safe as they let on. Where's my notes? All right, we got another tweet. This one's coming from Other Omar. Let's copy link and go. Oh, and then we got another one from John. So let's copy link and not go. We'll copy link and wait for it. Tesla Semi has 12 cameras at Elon Musk. That's kind of cool. This person points out only cameras, no radar, no ultrasonic sensors. And this guy says cameras are all they're needed. That's Robert Scoble. Yep. So somebody else had pointed out to Other Omar that are you asking or telling Elon? Because I think he already knows. I thought that was funny. All right, so this one is from John. All right, I'll read that in a second. Let me load up some more articles real quick and copy this Twitter status. All right, so John points out some of the Tesla semi owners that we know of: Walmart, FedEx, UPS, PepsiCo, DHL, Anheuser-Busch, Cisco, Ryder, JB Hunt, Loblaw, Meyer, Bison, BIA, NFI, Furcam, Asco, Albertsons, Schneider, Flexport, Watt EV, Titanium, Deadmau 5, Deadmau5. So Deadmau5 ordered one for his mobile studio. And if you're going to call out Deadmau5, then also add in Zach and Jesse, because they also ordered one. Fortigo, Mako, Gerteca, Breitner, JK, Poston, TCI, MHX, Citra, Speedy, Ryan, Carrot, Yandel, and again, you're asking Elon Musk or telling him because he already knows. That's a repost from John Ehrlichman, he says. One semi is enough battery for 10 cars. One semi is 200 to 250,000. 10 cars is 500 to 600,000. Assuming similar profit margins on each, it makes zero financial sense to wrap the semi. But it's not just financial sense because of the pollution and the mission. Uptime is much longer for semi. Let's see. And Raphael points out, what about Zach and Jesse and Eric and David? I mean, if you're going to call it Deadmau5, you might as well call it the other one owners. But the other thing to point out, though, is you got a tweet limit of 240 characters. He probably just didn't have space for them. And more people know Deadmau5 than Jack and Jesse or David and Eric. Just saying. All right. Then we've got another tweet that I've copied and pasted. Let's see where we go with this. Ford is facing protests from dealers. We talked about that earlier in the show. The reason I saved the tweet is probably because of the comments. Yep. I expect Ford would like it to lead to the end of all dealership operations, but you have to play with the hand you've dealt. Tough challenge. Is there any way to kill off their dealerships legally, like refuse to let them sell BEVs? Yeah, let themselves refuse to sell BEVs. Fate loves irony at the moment. Jim Farley. Dealership is an obsolete mentality. Fight all they want. People know that it's now possible to buy a quality product directly from the manufacturer. That's the goal of the program: reduce dealer network while increasing Ford's reach direct to consumer. Mm-hmm. If the markets were truly free, do you think we'd still have dealers in the current form? Hell no. NADA knows that dealers are an unnecessary loathed component of the auto industry. That's why their main function is to lobby for protectionist legislation. At the moment, that's not to say that dealers can't work. They just need to do a little more work. Like I said, with my training the people how to use their cars, folks would always bring folks to me for their minivans and their hybrids or their electrics because I would take the time to do it right. But they should know how to do it themselves. They should know how to train their own customers. What are you gonna do when I don't work there? Like now, this other Twitter status. How many Twitter statuses do I have? Copy this. See where we go. $3.93 to 60. Did they test the GT version instead of the all-wheel drive, as written in the report? That's coming for the Mach E police test in Michigan. I had this other beverage, but I couldn't drink it because baby loves the red can. Is that the same one? Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't even need to open this one. This first one's not empty yet. Oh well, I'll finish them both. All right, where are we now? Another tweet? No more tweets. Open this. And this. All right, so we talked about Elon Musk confirming the semi-battery pack size in a roundabout way, and we looked at Patrick's estimate and several other people's. We talked about the senators being involved in the Ford situation. And then Ford, oh, I broke it. Not Ford, GM. That's probably why I said Ford and clicked on a GM, so that's probably why I closed it. So anyway, GM doubles down on the Ultium battery production plant investment. They'll add an additional $275 million to their Ultium battery facility in Tennessee, which makes sense because if you're going to make electric cars, they need something to store the energy in. They need batteries. There we go. And lastly, another confirmation that Tesla Semi 900 kilowatt hours, but more answers are needed. I've got more in the phone. What I'm going to start doing is just taking them from the phone and putting them in the notes because I've been doing pretty good at keeping track of the notes as the weeks go by. And there's some stale stuff in there, and there's some more stuff that I want to talk about next week. Finally, Luna and I have got a camera again. So I will be making the supercharging, saving time while supercharging video soon. And I was going to do it after the show, but I see it's dark now, and I don't like making videos in the dark just because the editing looks gross. To me, I'm sure it's fine, and I try to do it only when required. So you'll see still some supercharger review videos in the dark if I'm on a trip where I can't avoid it. And stuff like that. Plus, I got to get used to this thing and trying to figure out where all the buttons are in the dark. Not going to happen. So, I mean, there's the record button. That's easy enough. But I got to write. I want to write not only a script but some talking points, just so that I'm not all over the place with this video. Because what I'd like to do is do a nice short, long form video, and then I'd like to do a YouTube Shorts, maybe breaking out each tip on how to save time while supercharging. Well, not even just supercharging. This will work for all cars, all EVs, and road tripping. So look for that over on the channel. And with that, I want to thank Zach for your generous donation. I want to thank all of you guys for watching week after week and subscribing. Give a thumbs up, please. It helps with the algorithms. And of course, I also want to thank our channel members and patrons. We'll catch you on the flip side.